If we draft a guy in the 7th round, he's going to be the rookie minimum.
What are you talking about, Ernie? I got a $36,000 signing bonus.
That was kind of high, don't you?
A very special episode today. The smartest man we know, former head of football research with the New England Patriots. That's right. Ernie is back. Had a great episode earlier this season with Ernie. We had so many great comments that we're like, we got to do another game. We're doing the 2018 AFC Championship, Patriots versus Chiefs.
Everybody's wearing red. They all hate us. I mean, it's a perfect environment to go in and play a football game.
Have you been game planning for this second episode of Games with Names?
See, I brought this. This is my Chiefs book from 2018.
Oh my gosh. Ernie sent a bunch of plays he wanted to go through and get in deeper.
Something that we can really talk about. Maybe the fans don't really see.
Very excited to get into it, get really granular.
Deep dives are what we do.
Games with Names is a production of iHeartRadio. Welcome to Games with Names. I'm Julian Edelman, and they are Jack and Kyler, and we are on a mission to find the greatest game of all time. We're back in the Boston studio. That's right, kid. Get your kid out here, kid. We're back in a Beantown this week. Coming to do old Brady Day week.
Do it, baby. Big one.
And on today's episode, we are covering, or should I say recovering,
Our fans asked for it, and we listened.
the 2018 AFC Championship game with our friend, the smartest man we know, former head of football research with the New England Patriots. That's right. Ernie Adams is back.
Let's go, Earn Dog, back.
I mean, I feel like I've got a lot of Ernie time these last few months.
It's a blessing.
It is. I honestly feel smarter.
For the love of God, cherish it.
It's kind of like when you walk on Harvard's campus, you feel smarter. If you're around Ernie, it just makes you feel smarter.
Elevates your game.
It makes me
Picking
feel
up
dumber
wisdom.
because it's like how much I don't know. Look at all this that I just don't know.
Maybe I completely messed that up. Maybe I just feel so dumb that I react to smart.
Hey, it rubs off on us. Being around a smart guy like that, it bound to rub off on you.
I want to go read a book right now. But we're going to do this episode. Got a couple right there.
That's right, baby.
That's right there. We get into talking what Ernie's been up to since he's last been on. He's been everywhere.
Busy guy.
Busy guy. His thoughts about the Patriots draft and the roast.
The Brady roast. Talk a little roast talk. Little roast talk.
Roasty, McDoasty.
Roast mode.
And Ernie will break down some pivotal plays from the classic AFC Championship game in Arrowhead.
Rob got to do it. Now it's Ernie's turn.
Now it's Ernie's
version.
This is the Ernie version. You know, we had Rob Riggle. He did it. He was on a glacier in, I don't know.
Iceland.
Ernie was up in the box.
Yeah.
All that.
Find out he scouts restaurants too.
He does.
We found that out.
Ernie is a rib connoisseur.
Ribby dibby.
The ribs dry.
I didn't get to ask.
The fans sauced. Crazy night in Arrowhead.
Ernie loves talking about fans getting saucy McDoss.
Bro, the atmosphere that night sounded insane.
It was electric. God. And Ernie breaks it all down. And then we get to unveiling a brand new post-show segment. You guys,
we can say it.
Yeah,
We're
it's a
going
great
to redraft the 2018 draft in honor of Ernie
You got to
Adams.
stick around
Ernie
for it.
gets us like wanting to make write-up player reports that we wanted to redraft the 2018 draft.
I want to print out some of those play sheets and just draw plays like I would in middle school.
Kyler cards.
Oh, you guys got to see. I can't wait for you guys. Let's go.
Let's go. Good one.
January 20th, 2019, Arrowhead Stadium, Kansas City, Missouri.
Brady versus Mahomes. The old dynasty versus the new dynasty.
But under a super blood wolf moon, there's a trip to the Super Bowl on the line. This is the 2018 AFC Championship game. Ernie version. Welcome to Games with Names. We have a very special episode today. Okay, we're doing the 2018 AFC Championship, Patriots versus Chiefs. Now, I know all you guys, all you listeners, all you visual, everyone watching is probably gonna say, we already did that with Ron Riggles. I messed his name up again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Rob Riggle.
Rob Riggles.
Yep.
I called him Ron. But our special edition, our Ernie version, we could say, is here with Ernie Adams. We had a great episode earlier this season with Ernie, and it was so great, and we had so many great comments in the comment sections from everyone who listens that we're like, we got to do another game. And so we talked with Ernie, and he wanted to come in the Nuthouse. We brought it out to Boston. We're here in the Nuthouse Boston version.
That's right.
To talk about the 2018 AFC Championship game against the Chiefs with Ernie Adams. Ernie, why this game?
Well, it's always so satisfying to go into an environment like Arrowhead Stadium. You know, this was a double championship weekend. This was the second game, so everybody'd been out there tailgating for 5 or 6 hours.
5 or 6.
It was Kansas City winter, so it was cold. I mean, you take the bus ride in the stadium. Everybody's wearing red. It's totally alcohol fueled. They all hate us. I mean, it's a perfect environment to go in and play a football game. Plus which, of course, they knew perfectly well that we were just the obstacle in the way to them going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So we were just kind of inconvenient for them, but, you know, that wasn't really the way we looked at it, but that's what makes it a good game.
Is this the greatest game of all time?
Oh, if you were part of the Patriots, it's on the list. I mean, I hesitate. I mean, we didn't execute well in short yardage. We did enough things, you know, that I wasn't real happy with. Particularly yesterday, I went back and watched it again. But, you know, it's two really good teams. We played well enough to win. You know, and I was thinking, because, you know, this is going against Mahomes and Hill and, you know, the whole bunch. You know, my objectives for this game were to make them punt 5 times and to hold them to 30 points. Now, I don't usually associate giving up 30 points with playing good defense, but you got to take, you know, the opponents into account. And we did make them punt 5 times, and it was the 31st point that got it to overtime. So, you know, we missed the point goal by 1, but of course, Matthew Slater, he knows to call heads in a critical situation at an overtime coin toss. You know, he'd studied the probabilities of the coin. And I know they say it's 50-50, but Matthew knew it was going to be heads. So we got the ball and went down, scored, and, you know, that was it. And, of course, after the game, it took a while, but they now changed the rule where, you know, both, you know, in a playoff game, both teams are going to get it.
They all get to touch the ball.
They all get to touch the ball, which, you know, of course, came up this past year with the Chiefs and the 49ers.
Exactly. We broke that down last episode.
Yeah.
How's it been going since we last had you on?
Well, of course, nothing can top being with, you know, games with names, but, but everything's been going well.
Any new books?
Well, you know, I really enjoyed the couple of years ago, that great movie Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
So of course I said, you know, I really needed. It was based on the book called American Prometheus, which had been sitting on my shelf for a long time. I hadn't read, so I just finished reading that, and that was extremely worthwhile.
Was the book better than the movie?
Well, of course, you got a close to, you know, 500 some page book versus a 2-hour movie. So
3-hour movie.
Oh, it's a 3-hour movie. But even so, obviously, there's a lot more detail in the book. But, you know, I will say the movie was great. I enjoyed them both. Enjoyed the movie, enjoyed the book.
Christopher Nolan. 0 special effects in that. Or CGI.
Oh, yeah.
0 CGI in that movie.
IMAX, too.
IMAX. Did
You're way over my head with that one, but I enjoyed the movie.
Ernie, the font, it's pretty much like in book terms, the font was bigger, and they didn't double space after the period, so you MLA format.
Yeah.
What was it like making your acting debut in the old film or the schedule release thing that we did?
Well, what I learned was interesting, which you taught me, was that so much of that is sitting around there waiting. Because I know the shot itself is, with 3.5 minutes, and it took us all day.
All day.
But everybody seemed to enjoy it, so it was good.
Did you prepare for that role in any way? Did you watch the movie a couple times?
My wife Christine gave me a scouting report on the movie. And I had seen the movie, so it kind of brought it back.
Now, did you practice in the mirror at all? Like, remember when we had to
Did
you have any scenes where you practiced in the mirror where you kind of wanted to work on?
We did some retakes because there were a few scenes I think we were both laughing when we weren't supposed to be laughing. So the nice thing about that is they just shoot it again.
Exactly, shoot it again.
Movie magic.
Now, Ernie, what's up with the attire we got today? What is
Well, Julian, this is a Madras shirt.
Madras?
And as you know, at New England Patriots training camp, that's where, I was big on the Madras shorts. I would always wear a Madras sport coat to that first preseason game on the road, which, you go on with a professional football team and, the dress code for the trip is coach and, sport. So everybody just had, a dark blue. And I always said, here we are going to play a professional football game, and it looks like I'm with a group of undertakers. Yeah. So I kind of, the Madras would break it up. But of course, we had a little call a couple weeks ago, and I promised you a Madras shirt.
Yes.
So I delivered.
'Tis the season.
It's the season.
Did I tell a story about the plaid jacket the last time we were on here?
I don't think so.
No. So there's one.
It's the Madras jacket.
Madras jacket. And I messed up on that. And so Ernie would wear this Madras jacket early in the season every year. And, it was 5-6 years into my career, and Madras was making a comeback. There was like some articles about it, this, that.
Never left.
And I go up to Ernie. I go, hey, Ern, you've been wearing that Madras so long, or that I was calling it plaid, that, it's finally come back. Ernie with his briefcase, his New York Times, of course, under his arm, looked back and said, never went out of style, and just kept walking
Mic
to the
drop.
bus.
Let's go, baby.
I said, hey, if I like it, it's in style.
There you go.
Damn right.
You know what? He takes the leap. Now, did you watch the roast of Tom Brady?
I've heard about it. I did not. I have not watched.
You didn't watch Coach Belichick up there?
I did not. I don't have
No clips.
No clips. I read about it.
Did he call you and ask? Like
No. He Bill, I'm sure had he had his game plan for that situation. Knew what he wanted to say, and he went with it.
Now, have you been game planning for this second episode of Games with Names?
I watched the TV replay just to kind of. I remember it, but 5.5 years ago, I wanted to just refresh my memory.
Yeah. Now, to put in to give everyone a little light, we had these pre-prep calls with Ernie now and his wife, Christine, and Mrs. Adams, as I like to call her. And they weren't just like anything. Ernie fully came in with, I want to say, 5-6 pages of notes on what we wanted to do and what he felt he could have done better last episode. He wanted to know the statistics of what we said that made people laugh, that people liked, the insights of all the posts. I mean, he came in fully dialed. What did you guys get out of these prep meetings, Kyler, Jack?
The level of preparation only matched by Peyton Manning for Games with Names universe. The text message of all the games, Ernie sent for audience, Ernie sent a bunch of plays he wanted to go through and get in deeper. Easily 30, 35 plays. Now for our, 2, sometimes 3 hour show, that's kind of a 6-parter. So we were in the trenches doing a lot of prep for this. Very excited to get into it, get really granular in some of the games here,
We love it.
some of the plays here. Going to switch format up a little bit, but
Deep dives are what we do. But to pull the curtain back a little farther, Ernie, we ask the guests for input, this and that. And it's always a little bit the same boilerplate stuff coming back. But you and Peyton came back with the most prep, took it the most seriously. It's very telling. It's very telling of two greats.
Now the fact that the fact that you guys put Peyton Manning in this. Now if and when there's a third episode, I don't even want to be associated with these pre-prep calls because the amount of information the competitive vibe. Are you gonna go and out prepare him?
Well, I probably would. Yeah.
That's right.
So now we put him on a competitive level. See, I brought this. This is my Chiefs book from 2018.
Oh my gosh!
So which this is. So as you can see here, Jules, what I do before get ready for the game. I've got every game they played. This is form I've got comfortable using.
Ernie cards.
Well, so these aren't the cards, but I can. But one page you use both sides, of course. I got 16 plays on each pad. So if I want to find out. Because the Chiefs they're repeaters. If they've done something in a critical situation, middle of the season, you get in that same critical situation, decent chance, you're going to get it again.
And I remember Bill always saying, it's going to be the same play. They might have a different guy. They may have a different formation or a different way of getting there, but it's going to be this guy here, this guy there, and this guy there.
Right, that's typical of most good teams. You get in the critical situation in the fourth quarter. Like Sean Payton says, you call the plays they know by heart.
I have it.
I mean, when you're going down for a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter, that's what you want to run, right? The stuff you've been running since training camp, you know exactly what to do. Everybody else on the team knows what to do, and that gives you most of the time gives you your best chance of success.
Now, Ernie, you have a play. So this is your folder for the Chiefs, 2018.
Yeah.
Do you have a folder for every single team?
Probably not to this detail.
Not to,
but because I've got every game here, plus some prior years, and one of the reasons because I do the Chiefs is they're really good. So when I want to, I don't want to go if I'm going to study in the middle of March, study a team. I'm not going to go study the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
That really doesn't work. I want to see what's somebody who's good. Is there something they're doing that we can use?
Yeah.
And putting it all down on paper, to me is the best way to. Because I will tell you, because you're wearing your Phillips Academy hat. The best teacher I ever had in my life was my Latin teacher at Phillips Academy, who would put us all up at the board before start a class. And he said, we're going to write out this sentence, how you translated it. And he would come and say, oh, lad, if you don't know it well enough to write it down, you don't know it well enough. Now, of course, when I would use, for 30 years, I would say that to players, say, hey, I know this play. Okay, put it up on the board. Let's see if you can diagram it. Let's see if you really know it. So I'm a big believer, you really want to know something, put it down on paper, study it, make sure you got it right.
You got to write it down. I wrote down everything. That just make me pay attention.
I've got a question for you. You mentioned that you don't watch a lot of film on teams that aren't good. What team do you think you've scouted the least during your tenure in the NFL?
Well, over that period of time, teams kind of cycle in and cycle out. So some teams, they might be terrible right now. Well, 10 years ago, they were really good. So I don't have a phobia about certain franchises. Teams that are playing well on offense, well on defense. That's you want to see. What are they doing? Is there something there that we can use?
Now, Ern, what goes into making this folder? Like now, you said you started in March, so this 2018 you were anticipating. So probably like in the early 2000s, you probably had a big blue folder for the Colts. Now in this generation, you have the red folder for the Chiefs. And so it started in March. What went into this whole thing? Like you said,
we had, if you remember, they came in, first game of the year in 2017, and they just lit our defense up.
Yeah,
it was a track meet.
Yeah.
So you could just see, okay, these guys are obviously good. Then they get Mahomes and a quarterback. So there's some teams you just kind of know, we have to be ready for it. Like you mentioned, the Colts with Peyton Manning. I could kind of tell you in September, any of the years he was there. Then we went to the Broncos and they continued to be really good. We're going to need to be ready for these guys. So it's always kind of in the back of your mind. I think we talked about this last time. 2014 season, it was inconceivable to me that the Colts were going to go into Denver and beat the Broncos, but they did. Yeah. So obviously we're going to play the Colts. So, the surprises come up.
They do every so often. Now, what did you take away from this specific folder going into this specific match?
Well, of course, you've got the Chiefs' offense has its heart, with Andy Reid going back to Mike Holmgren at Green Bay, then Philadelphia, then the Chiefs. So there are a lot of things that are they're part of Coach Reid's DNA. You got to be ready to stop, like what they call 72X shallow cross. I mean, that's just, they ran it with Mike Holmgren ran it, Andy Reid ran it in Philadelphia, Andy Reid ran it in Kansas City, and you look right up this past year in the playoffs, they're still running 72X shallow cross. Again, like Bill said, they dress up the formation a little bit, maybe a little different motion, but when the ball snapped, it's 72X shallow cross. So you always try to take something like that that's just core to them and make sure your defense has some degree of familiarity with it. Of course, the game is moving. When you get into it, it's moving so fast. You don't always recognize it quite right, but you at least want to give your players the best chance.
Yeah. What are some of the things that worked that you found in this book? Or you made, or you manifested in this book, or whatever, the Ernie book.
Yeah, I mean, our big thing for going into this game, when you're getting ready to play a team on defense, you always got to make a base decision. What do we need to stop?
Well, I just remember in the team meeting, whenever we played against Andy Reid, when it came, like Bill would, I'm paraphrasing, but in some form or another, Andy's going to want to throw it.
Right. And
he's not going to run it. Even if he's got 100 yards, he's going to want to throw it. Is it?
That's to a large extent true, although, they've had...
They changed it with Pacheco this last couple of years.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's right. I mean, you always have to take, the personnel into account. But, you're never going to go play, against, one of Coach Reid's teams, and they're just going to come out in two tight ends and try to hammer it. I mean, probably unless they're down to their third string quarterback or something. Yeah. I mean, he's very they're going to adjust to their personnel. But of course, when you've got you can run it for 5 yards, but when you got Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, they throw it could be 60, in one chunk.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really. I always said against a team like that, if they handed the ball off on a running play, I'd applaud. Do it again, please. Do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the distinguishing feature of a lot of NFL football, over the last half century. You get great skilled players at quarterback, great receivers, and it's a passing league, with teams that can throw the ball. You got to be able to run it enough to keep the defense honest, keep them off balance. You can establish the tempo of the game. I mean, in this game, even with Tom at quarterback and you and Rob at receiver, we came out and ran the ball very effectively right off the bat, kept their offense off the field. But in the end, when all hell broke loose in the fourth quarter, you're going to revert to form, and both teams just open up and let her rip.
Let her rip. Do you have any examples that didn't work from the book that you thought you game planned, or you had a tick, or something that was in the book?
Well, for instance, they hit us in the fourth quarter with that big misdirection screen. I mean, remember, they got four of their guys standing over outside the numbers. We got nobody, so it's a walk-in touchdown, and that had been something, that they had shown before. But there was another case, they dressed up a formation, they got a motion, they got us a little bit confused. we're all when you run the screen, when all their guys are on the right and you're screening to the left, it's probably going to work. But, like we said, dressing up a play with a formation, that's why they do it. So if they get in the game and hit it, it's a touchdown for them.
Yeah.
I mean, this gets into a little bit. I mean, it's kind of like watching NBA basketball at its best. I mean, it's fluid, it's moving. And they hit somebody for a wide open three. Decent chance he's going to hit it.
Yeah. Now, before we get into the deep dive of this Chiefs game, we want to cover some of the things our fans wanted to know more about. Now, the draft happened since we had you last on our podcast. What are your thoughts of the Patriots and their draft?
Well, I mean, obviously, they had the third pick in the draft and they take a quarterback. So essentially, you have married the franchise to Drake May for the next few years. I mean, they've got Jacoby Brissett in there. For some period of time, he may be the starting quarterback. If they asked me, which they haven't, people say, when should they start Drake May? They should start him when he's ready. You can't invent that. If he's not ready to start, from the first week, don't start him. Maybe it's going to be the middle of the season, however that works out. But, I mean, at some point, he's going to go in and be the quarterback, and he's going to get a full chance to show what he can do.
What makes a quarterback ready?
Well, number one thing, of course, is going out, how is he doing in practice?
Yeah.
As you know, I mean, this is, taking snaps against the first defense, seeing NFL coverage, running the Patriots offense. Does he really know what he's doing? Does he look like he can go in and execute at full speed, against, a really good defense, when the bullets are flying?
Yeah.
It's a judgment call on the part of the coaches. You see him every day, you live with him. Does he really know how to call the plays in the huddle? Does he understand what you're trying to do? But there's nothing like going in, okay, we think he's ready. Now we're going to put him in the game, and now we're really going to find out.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to do that. So, and particularly the way that training camp has been so cut back. I mean, I know there's a lot of veteran players who stand up and applaud no more two-a-days and all that. But as far as a rookie getting ready to play, it's going to slow down his development.
I saw, I was at the Patriots practice yesterday, and I saw the Vince, Big V, Wolfork, and we were talking like, yeah, when we were players, you hated the practice, but with how they have adjusted the players' practice now so much, it is the worst thing for a young quarterback and the offensive lineman.
This is a collective bargaining agreement, okay? Mm-hmm. It's negotiated between players and the owners. Who's negotiating on part of the players? Veteran players who don't really want to go out with two-a-days. I mean, I'm thinking back, the first training camp I was a part of in 1975 with the Patriots, I mean, we had the rookies in, and we were 6 straight days of two-a-days.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? All in full pads. Now, we had a lot more players in camp. We'd have, when everybody was there, we might have 125, 130 players in camp. But then it was 2 weeks of two-a-days with the veterans, play a preseason game. And by the way, this was back in the day when we had 6 preseason games.
Sheesh.
Whoa.
Okay. And then it was a couple more weeks going one a day in pads. And yeah, that's probably too much. But as far as if you're going to be a young player, particularly a young quarterback, needs to develop, you need every rep you can get.
Yeah.
And I know my understanding is they're using, they've got the virtual thing set up.
Yeah.
Reps, but there's no substitute for being on the field when it's going full speed, and you got to make decisions. And in terms of playing quarterback, I think probably everybody who watches ESPN at some point watches some of that Formula One racing.
Yeah.
When they've got the camera right right past the driver's ear hole, and you can see how fast everything's moving. That's kind of the way you got to play in the NFL. You don't get is that that extra look? Forget it.
Gone.
It's over. You got once you see it right, go ahead and do it. There's no substitute, for getting that. By the way, when there's a pass rush coming at you, you may have to slip and slide to avoid somebody who's going to try to take your head off. But that's the way it's played.
That's why it's the hardest position to get ready for in sports, the quarterback position and drafting. What was the scouting and the player evaluation process like during your time in New England?
Well, of course, it really, the first 10 years when Scott Pioli was the director of player personnel, Scott and I worked very closely together. And it was, we just went through every player. We had a grading
Every
system.
player?
Every player. We had, who the scouts had identified as having, a realistic chance.
Yeah.
We weren't necessarily grading some of the backup, the kids
I get
they have, no. So
But there was probably a project bucket.
Well, there was, sure. I mean, people who had might have been injured, missed their senior year. But at some point, you say, now 2 years ago when this kid was a sophomore, he really looked good. Then he had circumstances come up that limited what he could do. So maybe we need to go take a look. And then it gets down to, some people you just take a flyer on, like Steve Neal. Steve Neal from Cal State Bakersfield.
Wrestler.
Now, right. Well, you say Cal State Bakersfield. That's right. They don't play football, but Steve was, an NCAA champion as a wrestler. And
He Brock Lesnar.
That's right.
World Championships.
And, we say, okay, this is somebody who's got the raw tools. He just hasn't played football. Well, we're willing, invest a little time in him, see what we could happen. Scar, of course, did a great job coaching him, and Steve, worked hard, and ends up he goes no college football, and he starts for us in a couple of Super Bowls.
He was a very good player. I mean, Steve was around when I was
Right.
a rookie.
Right, but he had, there's certain raw things you look for a guy, big, strong, really good balance. That you want in an offensive lineman, and he had them. Of course, you don't know for sure until he puts pads on, go out and play football.
Yeah.
But just for instance, talking about that, this whole concept of the practice, what they do in training camp, it goes to having a practice squad. I mean, that we had guys who were good players for us who developed on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Think of Ryan Wendell and Dan Conley. They're both starting for us in Super Bowl 49, and they were there because they busted their tails on the practice squad trying to get better every day. And if you remember what we do, even if it was a day where no pads or anything, when practice was over, the practice squad guy would put their pads on, and they'd have 10, 15 minutes going one-on-one. Well, That's where they developed. Now, you can't do that. So by even limiting the practice squad that way, limiting training camps that way, you're really hurting young guys who need some reps to develop into players.
So if you were in this day and age evaluating players, you probably would be looking at different traits than if you were, say, 10 years ago when you could practice them because you have to have a more ready, developed guy. Or what would you be looking for in these now?
I mean, really, I always said before the draft, don't get away from size and speed. Your best chance is get the guys who are big and fast and go from there.
Small and
quick. Well,
quick.
We would go. Of course, we'd be out on the field, pregame warm up, and that was the one time you got to see all 43 players who were dressed from the opponents, and you could stand there and look. This team lives and dies by their size speed chart.
Yeah.
Of course, they're all big, and they're that's where you start. That doesn't mean you're going to be a great football player.
What team off the head?
Size,
speed.
Most of the good ones.
Baltimore always seemed big.
Well, the Ravens were, I would say, probably one of the teams as close. I always felt like they were a sister team. And of course, their general manager was Ozzie Newsome, who started his NFL manager. We broke him in at Cleveland, the personnel and doing drafting. And that was, the philosophy we had then. And he took it to the Ravens. And you see some other teams, and they got, you can see, well, there's some short, squatty guys. And, there's no, look, just because you're a little short doesn't mean you can't be a good NFL player.
Yeah. Just because you're short doesn't mean you're small either.
Right. But if you end up, with a bunch of guys like that, you're looking at them, I don't know how that's really going to work for them. And most of the time it doesn't. So you start with a size speed chart.
Size speed
chart. Then of course, you want to see, guys who can run and break down and change direction. Because when I say speed, most of the time that's, time when guys run the 40-yard dash at the combine. There aren't that many opportunities to do the 40-yard dash, but guys who are good players, most of them can run. Like if you're going to take an offensive tackle in the first round, you think, what's an offensive lineman playing a fairly short area? Most of the good offensive tackles can come pretty close to running a 5-flat in the 40. That's just the way the way it works out. Then you got to see a guy who can bend his knees, change direction, which comes into play at every position. And then it's how do they really play on Saturday afternoon, particularly how do they play against the good teams on their schedule. Like, for instance, you may look at a guy, this guy, he's an edge pass rusher. He got 14 sacks, but you go find the game where he's playing against an NFL quality, somebody who you think is going to be an NFL tackle, and he gets stoned on the line of scrimmage and can't do anything. They say, wait a minute now, this maybe it isn't the next Lawrence Taylor.
Yeah.
So you're always conscious when evaluating college players who they're against. Eating a red shirt freshman for lunch. Okay, well, if he's playing against a redshirt freshman, that's what he should do. But what you really want to see is have him against somebody who say, this is an NFL quality player.
So size, speed, quality of play against quality of player.
Right.
So those are the three things we're looking for.
But plus it's being able, because at every position, you really have to be able to bend your knees and change direction.
Bend your knees and change direction.
And if you can't, if you're a stiff-legged player, it's not going to be real good. If you're what we call you got to be a knee bender, not a waist bender.
Knee bender, not a waist bender. How does that change when you're looking to get free agents?
It's
easier or is it harder?
Of course, you're talking about this.
We go from draft, NFL.
NFL free agent. Okay, well, of course, the biggest thing when you're talking about an NFL free agent is you can see him playing against NFL players.
Yeah.
So you're seeing here.
You know that.
Right here. So, really the biggest thing for us at the Patriots with a free agent was I always felt it was a little bit of a crapshoot, because you never knew for sure how somebody was going to adjust coming into our environment. And I can't tell you the number of players who I say, if they'd been in the league somewhere else, they came to us and say, oh, it's so different here.
That's everyone.
And of course, what I really want to do in my next life, I want to be a fly so I can be on the wall at all these different places. Say, what are they doing that's so different? Because, truthfully, I mean, our thing at the Patriots was we did it the way we did, we did it at the Patriots in the 70s with Chuck Fairbanks and the Giants and Cleveland. And, we only really knew one way to do it. It worked, so why change? But people say, well, it's so different in other places. I'm not real sure what those other places do. Now, of course, when they get you down to, you can only go in pads once a day, and then at the end of the season, you really can't go in pads. I mean, they're kind of bringing everybody down to that lowest common denominator. So,
do you remember any guys that you wanted in the draft that we may not have got that went on to be great players?
Oh, sure. I mean, but you're always, the thing about the draft, particularly
Or you thought you were gonna get?
like I'll tell you one that I remember just studying, and I say this would be the guy for us. He'd really be a good player. I always kind of like to just hear are there names that are around. I mean, if everybody's name is around, that tells me everybody's really looking at him. But if I'm not really hearing the name around, maybe we have a chance. And there was one guy I felt totally confident this would be the guy for us. I think we got a chance to get him at the end of the draft, and we took him, and that was Logan Mankins. Now, and then I came here afterwards that a couple of the teams right behind us at the top of the second round, they were ready to call him, and you're our guy. But I just said, this is would be a perfect player for us. And of course, Logan goes on to be one of the best. I mean, if I'm putting my all-time Patriots team together, the guards are going to be Logan Mankins and John Hanna.
Yeah.
Two greats right there. But sure, there are some players. You're down at the end of the draft. This guy's going to be in the top 5, and so why don't you trade up and get him? We don't. We'd have to trade our whole team.
What about a guy that like you thought that was going to be there that someone snagged?
Oh,
there's got to be the one that got away.
Sometimes
the one that got away
because everybody in the league is looking at the big. Oh, it's that 800-pound tuna I've been fighting for 11 hours, and all I got's
a bucket. Well, your buddy put a bucket on the end of the hook. That happened to me once.
Yeah. But it's, there are 32 teams all looking at the same players. So you just figure, like if you drop back in the draft, you can't say, hey, we'd like this guy here. Let's see if we can drop back 5 places and still get him. There's everybody else is looking at the same group of players you are. So you just never. I'll tell you, because I know you had him on as a guest. For instance, one that we didn't want to get away was your friend Matt Light. and of course, it's the year he came out, I don't know what number, it was in the middle of the second round. We're picking the team ahead of us is the Jets, and then ahead of them is the Lions. Okay? So you always call like 10 minutes before. If there's a player, he's on your radar, you want to make sure, first of all, they're still alive. I mean, the Patriots, they did draft a player in the early 60s who was not alive from Southwest Louisiana. They had the name, they did names in newspapers, and they don't have and not everybody had a cell phone. So are you still okay? How you doing? So we're behind the Jets, we're behind the Lions. We call Matt Light. Hey Matt, we're really interested. How you doing? Hey coach, the Jets just called me. They're gonna take me. So we knew right there. It's very cut and dried. We're either going to get a trade executed with the Lions so we can get Matt, or we're just going to sit there and watch the Jets take him. So we call the Lions. We really try to work out a trade with them. The guy they want is the center from Nebraska, Dominic Raiola. I said, look, we got Damian Woody. Don't worry, we're not going to draft a center. Okay, that's not going to happen. So we get the trade executed with the Lions when there's when they're on the clock. We jump up and we take Matt Light. So I mean,
did you guys have intel that the Jets were going to take? So
the Jets had called Matt.
Before that,
it's all
you guys are sniffing out there though.
Well, but it's like they may have called like 3 minutes before us, because it's. I mean, everybody does this. You can't keep in touch with people. So we got the solid intel that if we want Matt, we got to get in front of the Jets, and to get in front of the Jets, the only way that can happen is if we do a trade with the Lions. There's no other way we can get in front of the Jets. So.
Is there any guys that you evaluated that probably wouldn't have been that great that turned out to like, oh shit, this guy is a monster that you missed on the other way?
Sure. I mean, you're dealing with human beings. First of all, how are they going to react to coming into the NFL? And particularly when you're talking about the first round, does this guy have the right mindset that we can entrust him with a big contract? Because it's not, if we draft a guy in the 7th round, it's going to be the rookie minimum.
What are you talking about, Ernie? I got a $36,000 signing bonus.
That was kind of high, don't you? I mean, but it's,
I'm fucking around.
But if it's really important if you're going to take a guy at the top of the first round and make a big investment in him, the guy can't.
He can handle it.
He can handle it, and that doesn't always happen. But some guys, like for instance, you think you know a player, you try hard, you do the psychological evaluations, you interview him, but when you've had him in camp for about 10 days, that's when you know. Right? I mean, some guys, hey, this guy's got the right makeup, the right stuff. He's actually got a chance. This other guy, this is not really going the way we want. He's not really our kind of guy. And you don't get to have him in your training camp for 10 days before you draft him.
Yeah.
So it's just like, as a veteran, Julian, I'm sure you'd be watching them pretty carefully to see if they've actually.
Oh,
is this guy going to be one of our kind of guy, or did they screw it up in the draft?
I was convinced for a while, and I almost mustered up enough courage to go into Bill's office and tell him, if you're going to take someone in the 1st round or the 2nd round that's going to be a skill position player, I need you to send me out there to look him right in his fucking eyes.
A lot to be said for that. I mean,
I didn't muster up enough courage.
No, but there's at every school, there'll be somebody there who knows. Maybe it's the equipment guy, who if you happen to know the equipment guy, he'll tell you, hey, this guy's been in my locker for 4 years, and he's an asshole. You don't want him. Well, if that's an equipment, he may actually know. What kind of guy you're looking for. So if you know that the equipment guy, what his brand of cigars is, you may take him a box of cigars, and on the QT, hey, just tell me who are the guys we don't want. And if it's the right person telling you, that information can be gold. Now, what's happened, of course, is now with all the stuff with social media and people are barred from talking to NFL people. It's harder to get the information that you really need. But you still try to figure out a way to go get it.
Turkey always talks, Ernie.
Yeah.
Turkey always talks. Who was the equipment manager for Florida back in the 2010s?
Oh God.
Can we find out what his cigars preference is? We probably had a lot of those going. Now, how did it go with internal evaluation of our own team?
So we did. I mean, what Bill always said to the staff was, the players that we have here now, we have to know them better than anybody else. We can't make a mistake on one of our guys. We just went through a 6-month season. We live together, right? I mean, hey, players go home, go to sleep after practice. Coaches go home, go to sleep. But for most of the day, we're with each other in a small space. We know what makes each other tick. We really have to know our own players better than anybody else. So we spent a lot of time after the season, take each player one at a time. We went through everything. Their medical, their strength and conditioning. How are these guys?
Their reps, their MEs.
Is somebody getting into their early 30s, and we can just see they're starting to slip. May still be able to play for a while, but they're starting to go on. You have to really know that about your own players, and those can be the hardest decisions to make. This guy's gotten a slip, but he's a fantastic human being in our locker room. He's the guy everybody else looks up to, who's going to really suck it up and push himself hard. I always said the older you get, the harder you have to work at your conditioning.
Always.
And, so it's, is this the guy who's really going to push himself, to be able to play when he's in his early 30s.
So you guys have the self-scout every year at the end of the year. Now, to see your own team that you know better than anyone.
Right. And it's not just, okay, yeah, everybody can watch them play.
No, yeah.
But we know what's our best judgment? What do we think they're going to do in the next 1 year or the next 3 years? Because you're always, what I always call simultaneous time horizons. We always said the most important day is today. The most important game is this week. But when you're dealing with your football team, you really have to have a sense, where are we going in the future? Is this guy, and then you get into contracts. Hey, we got some here. He's a year away from his contract. Where's he going to be in 3-4 years? Because that's that's a judgment that you have to. Nobody's going to play forever.
Yeah.
So it's. But you always say, hey, Warren Spahn, Ted Williams, Tom Brady, they always did some great things past 40. Not many people can do it, but some of the real Hall of Famers can. Yeah. So it's a lot of judgment.
It's tough judgment. Now, what goes in the judgment to trading players? Probably some of the best players on your team. How does that go down?
Well,
Logan Mankins, the Lawyer Malloy, the Malcolm Butlers.
Right. It's a question of, okay. As you know, it can be a business. Some of it is we're not going to be able to sign this player next year. It's just we've been trying to negotiate some with him. It's not going to happen. Where he's it could be a guy, say, he may be causing some problems. We can live with him, but it's not we can live with him right now. Do we really want to sign up for living with him for 5 more years? No. So it's
there's a lot of circumstances.
Maybe it's a case, we've got 4 good players at this position and we have nothing over here. So, we can trade with somebody, and really fill a need on a team.
Yeah.
But then again, we're trading for, are we just getting somebody else's problems? So you try to you really try to find out before you trade for a veteran player, what are we really getting here?
Yeah. That's got to be tough. And, you have to be able to make emotionalist decisions when you're doing those types of things, when you're dealing with human beings. But it's the hard part of the job.
It's the hard part of the job because particularly, like I say, you can have a guy and say, well, he's okay playing this position, but he's such a positive input on the team. We really need to have him. He brings 6 other players with him.
Yeah. What's the one draft pick you're most proud of?
I'd say, in all honesty, it may look easy in retrospect, but first round of the 2001 draft, because we didn't have our first year of the Patriots in 2000. We were 5-11. That didn't go so great. We knew we had to do something. Was just having the conviction to stay at 6 and taking Richard Seymour, because there were teams wanted to, we had an opportunity to trade down, but it wasn't going to be for a player who was as good as Richard. And we said, no, hey, the thing we need to do, just stay where we are. If you got a pick up at the, in the top part of the first round, you earned that pick the hard way. So you really want to get that right. We said, hey, take Richard. He can really be a difference maker for us on defense. And, he was. Just, I will say, you asked me earlier, it's the same thing with, the Patriots sitting at 3 taking Drake May. They took him to be the guy who's going to turn their team around. So they obviously have a conviction, that he can be that guy, because that's your chance to get a top quality player, and if he isn't, that will have a negative impact on the franchise for a number of years going forward. So
yeah. Now, continuing with the fan questions, these are all fan questions.
Right.
Fans loved when you talked about when you had to evaluate Peyton Manning. Who was another player you loved evaluating?
Somebody who was really good. I mean, it's like, going down, even though we only played them, once every 4 years, going to play the Dallas Cowboys against Zach Martin at right guard. Now, Zach Martin, I thought he was the best offensive lineman in the league. So, we got to be pretty
What
stocked.
made him the best offensive lineman in the league?
He did everything you want. He's got the size, speed, bend his knees, change direction, knock him off the ball, great pass protection,
Pad level?
use his hands. I mean, he did everything the way you want it done. So I mean, that's like, okay, we better. And this is where having a guy like Vince made a difference, because Vince was such a good defensive lineman. We'd say, you know what, we got a great player here. We just better put Vince in front of him.
Yeah.
You want to try to neutralize somebody. Put your best against their best.
Yeah.
And that's why you watch Vince. Well, Vince, you see, he's a nose tackle. Well, there are times he's a defensive end. Hey, we need a great defensive end. We got a good player here. Put Vince over there. We look at guys, like say we talk about players having flexibility. It's not that Vince was a football player. We could put him any spot in the defensive line where we needed him, and he'd play well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that. Don't make it more complicated than it is. Get your best players in position to make the plays to win games for you.
What about what's another player that you liked? You hit an offensive lineman with Zach Martin with the Cowboys that we play once every 4 years. You hit Peyton Manning, a quarterback.
Another guy would be guy we took in the second round because we really liked a lot. He just looked like a lot of the things he did well. Rob Gronkowski. Now, Rob obviously he had issues with his back. He didn't just go light it up for 3 years at the University of Arizona, but when he's on the field playing, now this guy, he can knock him off the ball. He's a load. He's not a nifty player. He's a little bit like Mark Bavaro, who played tight end for us a long time ago. He's not nifty, but he's a straight ahead, knock him off the ball, catch the ball, do everything else you want. And obviously, that one worked out pretty well.
You never saw Rob get caught from behind either.
No, Rob was he was straight ahead, like I say, blocking, knock him off the ball. He's a load going down the field. And always, you saw him out there, catching balls for them. Great hands.
Great hands.
You threw it in his neighborhood. He's going to catch it.
Greatest tight end of all time.
He's right there in that short list where you're going to have that conversation. He's on it.
Who else is?
The thing that distinguishes Rob is that he's the guy who probably is a combination. He can block like a tackle and catch like a big receiver. There are other guys, who you would play tight end, maybe a little bit, could be a little better route runners, a little more receiving tight ends, but none of them could block the way that Rob would.
Broke Van Bosch's neck. Ended his career. It's still crazy to me. Van Bosch was like the highest paid DN that year. And I remember Billy O'Brien just getting on him all week. Don't let this guy be this guy. And we don't ever want to see a player get hurt by any means. We're just trying to build the folklore of Gronk, of course. It was terrible that he did that. But he was a rookie. Van Bosch was one of the best, most distinguished defensive ends in the National Football League, and this big old golden retriever laid him out.
That puppy bit.
As Parcell, what was Parcell saying?
If a puppy don't bite, a dog won't bite, or something.
Yeah,
like
puppy
that.
Don't bite, dog won't bite.
Just to chime in real quick to kind of wrap up this kind of incredible player evaluation conversation, just because Jules won't ask you, what was the process like evaluating and then drafting Jules?
First of all, we thought this is a guy, obviously we're talking about being a projection. We were not going to, you were our emergency third quarterback, but we were, realistically, we would get down there and pray we don't ever have to put Jules in a game at quarterback. Okay, but
Almost happened.
almost happened. But we thought, hey, there's a guy who's really athletic, a lot of skills. We'd like to bring great guy to have him in. Let's see what he can do. And because sometimes you get in towards the end of the draft, you're going to have a pool of players. You can say these are the guys that we'd be worthwhile signing as undrafted free agents. But if there's some guy you really want to make sure that you don't have to go compete with, because that undrafted free agent market, as soon as the draft's over, now that's the Wild West. I mean, it's there's
Why?
because you have you have 8 teams wanting to go for the same player. There's no real rules here. Who can sign him? Who can't?
Has there ever been a case where a undrafted free agent got more than like a draftee?
Sure. I mean, yeah, because when you draft a guy in the 7th round,
You're
you're slotted in there, and that's the reason you draft him in the 7th round. I want this guy. I don't want to have to go compete with him. Let's just turn the card in and take him, and he has to come to our camp. Now, you only get, no, you don't have 15 picks in the 7th round.
No.
You've got to, hey, this is the guy. We're talking to his agent. He's got 9 teams have said, wow, if you're not drafted, we really want to talk to you. Well, that's kind of telling you that there's going to be competition here. So, take the guy in the 7th round and lock him up, as opposed to, right.
Locked me up.
Locked him up. I mean, but I will say this, my first draft, spring of 1976, there were 17 rounds. Okay, that meant that all those guys who now would be the undrafted free agents, you draft them in the 12th round, you draft them in the 13th,
locking them up,
and you say, well, wasn't that draft long? No, because those last 5 rounds, teams got a minute a pick.
And that's
So
a speed pick.
Speed pick.
It's kind of like
why
my
some of them
fantasy.
were dead.
So we had the
Fantasy draft, Ernie.
So
Fucking hard.
so
I'm over here dialing Jack. Hey, you want to trade picks?
I'm over here on auto draft.
So it was 1970, great Patriots story, 1974 draft, 15th round. Chuck Fairbanks, they drew straws for who was going to get to make the pick. Hey, you guys been going out seeing all these guys? We'll see if you know what you're doing. Tom Boyster, my good friend Tom Boyster, he won. Patriots drafted Sam Hunt from Sam Houston State. Ended up being one of the best inside linebackers the franchise ever had.
Wow.
But those are the same. Those rounds 7 to 17. Well, that's who you were drafting. You were drafting the guys who, in this day and age, would be undrafted free agents. But there's guys who, for whatever reason, teams miss on circumstances. He was injured in college, didn't get to play. Was playing in a system where he was out of place. I mean, we drafted one of the best for Patriots draft choices was Stanley Morgan. It's 1977, first round wide receiver, who is today I believe still, the all-time National Football League leader, yards per catch. Guys who have over 300 catches, Stanley, he's like 20 yards a catch.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, that in any day and age, that's pretty good. Stanley's senior year at University of Tennessee, he was a halfback in the wishbone. It's a little bit like you being, a quarter, we weren't drafting him to play wishbone halfback, but he showed everything, that we wanted for a receiver. So we took him, and he had a transition that rookie year. I remember in training camp, I heard coaches I respected, saying, "Why did we draft this guy? He don't look like a receiver." Well, he's just learning how to play. Now, by the end of the season, going down playing the Atlanta Falcons, he was, he made a couple plays to win the game for us.
Yeah.
He just needed some time, to get some reps to learn, some of the details for the position. So, I mean, you always got to remember in this draft thing, you're drafting human beings. They're unpredictable. You don't know for sure how it's going to work out. You use your experience and judgment and do the best you can.
Yeah.
Stanley Morgan, great punt returner as well.
Great punt returner.
Yeah. So out there we had. Now you talk about this. The team we had Mike Haynes, Hall of Fame. Now he could return punts. We had Stanley Morgan, and we had this kid we took late in the draft, Dave Preston. We were so loaded we didn't take. He goes out and has a great career as a Denver Bronco.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's still, he might still, Dave might still be doing like radio for the Broncos, but he had a great career. So we go up to play Green Bay in a preseason game. Mike Haynes takes a punt back for a touchdown. Stanley Morgan takes a punt back for a touchdown. Dave Preston gets caught at the 5-yard. They trip him up by his ankle.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Who's a special team coordinator on those teams? Jeez.
Well,
Looking for a job.
a special teams coach. was, if you really show how you're a Patriots fan, was Tom Usick was the backup quarterback and punter for the Patriots back in the early 60s. And, of course, our whole staff at the Patriots with Chuck Fairbanks, they all played together at Michigan State.
Of course.
So it was
There's levels to it.
levels to. So we go down and we're playing my first year at the Patriots. We're going down to play the Dolphins on a Monday night, and Bob Greasy he's heard of something. He isn't playing the game. So Earl Morrill is going to be the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. And Earl Morrill was the quarterback on that Michigan State team, and all our coaches were his teammates. So it's hysterical. He's warming up for the game, and he's, hey, Chuck, hey, Hank. You know, he's talking about his old college teammates.
Is that where it was developed to, look, guys, we don't need to be having a fucking powwow before the game with the other team.
Yeah.
Remember that? That was a rule. We couldn't, you didn't want to. You could say hi.
He said, but that was it.
That was it. We're about to fucking line up against this guy and try to take his soul.
Yep.
No. All right, last fan question. People are so curious what your day-to-day schedule was. Everyone, that's all they ask about. What was his day-to-day schedule during the regular season?
So when I started at the Patriots in 2000, my job description was really simple. Do whatever I thought would help us win. So it was, so if I thought there was something particular this week, hey, we really need to focus on this and we got to get fixed. That's where I would put my attention. But basically, it's come early, stay late, and work on football.
So, what does that mean in day-to-day routine?
It is come in, watch film, get ready to go out to practice, maybe do the cards for practice. But if there was somebody in the middle of this, hey, there's somebody. It's the trade deadline. There's somebody coming up here. He might be available for a trade. See what you think. I mean, I could get on that for a couple hours. This is priority. The trade deadline is tomorrow. It's not going to do any good to look at them next week. So sometimes things that come up on, that we have to jump on fast.
Just on the fly, watch
just the total
65 game cut-ups of them.
Right, and that's.
Who is your? Did you have someone that worked under you that gave you information? Like, who was your Bears, or who was your Did you have an Ernie?
I always felt like
who. There's got to be some information that you're like, yeah, where did this guy?
Well, so if I wanted to, the video guys, I could.
Famos?
Jimmy D, Teddy, Jared. I said, hey, I need a cut up on this guy. Like I need it in 5 minutes. Put these 20 plays together. And they would get it done.
No Googler, or did you ever hit a Google search on what was this guy's grade point average in college, or was that all in the scouting reports?
That was mostly mostly in the scouting reports. I mean, that's why when we interviewed guys at the combine, I always want to know, what was your GPA? Well, particularly on a quarterback, I wanted to know, are you capable of doing something hard? Because you come in as a rookie quarterback, you're going to have to sit down and study, and absorb a lot of information. I was going, are you capable of doing that? I mean, I don't really care.
Yeah.
If you went out, but it did make a difference. Are you capable of trying to absorb complex information?
Thank God we skipped that out with old Brady, because I think he had a 1.26 GPA. I'm joking.
I don't think so.
So you're basically telling us there wasn't an average day for Ernie Adams.
A lot of us come in. I watch film during the season. Is there something we, Bill would say, hey, I want to make sure. Like Bill and I kind of did our plan together. So if we want to make sure that we've got something, that we're right on something, Bill and I might talk about it. What defensive fronts do we want to play this week? Do we really need to get something straightened out? That I would make sure, that I had studied so that we could talk, so that Bill could go and talk to the, he might want to go, talk to the coaches about something, or talk to a particular player. This is really important for us to win the game this week.
No average day, guys. So everyone, there's no average day. It's we're shooting from hip, we're shooting from thoughts. We're bringing books out that we have prepared on every team. You know,
I mean, it may look the same.
are they
but-
different colors for each team? Or are they all the red?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm not going to put the Colts in red. I mean, listen, maybe if I don't happen to have a blue binder, I got, but I'll put them in red, but I'll get a blue binder and get them in the right color. So when I've got them on the shelf, I don't pull down a blue one thinking I'm getting the Chiefs. I mean, what are we doing?
Martruce. We got to get a Martruce colored, is it Martruce? Or what shirt are you wearing?
Mattress.
Mattress? What is it?
Yeah, I'm not, red.
Red. All right, well, let's go back around July 20th, 2019. We have an Ernie edition of the throwback.
Okay.
We already did it with Rob Riggles.
Wriggle. There's just one of him.
Sorry, Rod. I love you, man. I love you. But we're going to do Ernie edition, or Ernie version. The number one book was Verses for the Dead by Douglas Preston and Lincoln Child. Did you read that book in 2019?
I have not read it.
No? Around this time, the notable Nobel Peace Prize winners.
Just prize winner.
Prize winner. M. Stanley Whittingham for the development of lithium-ion batteries.
Important
These days.
You ever read up on him?
Probably just read, briefly, but I'm not. I would not want to sit here and discuss his biography with you.
It's not what we're here
Lithium
for.
batteries are important, but aren't they pretty bad for the environment, Ernie?
As a world where we've done a lot of things that not get us going in the right direction. I mean, we're sitting here in the back bay of Boston, wait till the floods again. I mean, that's this where we're sitting right now. 400 years ago was water. I mean, this was the major construction project in Boston, in the 1800s, filling this in, so that we can sit here.
I've read that everywhere it's flat in Boston is landfill.
Is landfill. That's basically correct.
Crazy.
I mean, there was from Beacon Hill out to Brooklyn to where I live. There was like one little peninsula, one little narrow peninsula, and people said, "Wait a minute, this is crazy. We want to live here." So they tracked in trainload after trainload of gravel from Western Massachusetts, and just for 30 years, it just filled, and that's when they call it the Back Bay. They're not kidding. This was a bay.
Oh yeah, I saw a map once. Hopefully it doesn't flood. The S&P on this day, S&P 500 raises on a strong earnings, closing out the best January since 1987. Dow was up 7%. That portfolio was looking good this day, Arn.
As a long-term investor, some months it's up, some days it's down. Over a long period of time, you hope it's way up.
Yes.
That's
Compounding interest. That's how you get it, right?
that's a critical concept.
Critical. Can I get a critical tip on how to make millions of dollars in the stock market?
Number one is be patient.
Be patient.
And by GameStop.
I'll leave that to if you buy a stock, do you actually know this well enough? Would you buy the
The whole stock.
I still remember
Would
that.
you buy the whole company?
Yep.
If you don't know, if you can't say for sure, hey, I would buy the whole company at this price, why are you buying the stock?
Would you buy the whole company of what's the AI company, Navita, or what is it? The
Can't
AI
pronounce
company.
it, you shouldn't buy it.
I don't know enough about it to give you an honest answer. I mean, that's you have your.
It's a trick question. I think AI is you.
I don't think so.
In the sports world in 2018, 2019, we won the Super Bowl. MVP of the NFL season, regular season, was Patrick Mahomes. NC2A champs was Clemson. Kyler Murray was the Heisman Trophy winner. It was the first season without Ed Hockley, jacked ref since 1990. Do you remember Ed?
I remember Ed, and I would not have remembered that this was the first NFL season.
What was the scouting report on Ed?
Don't mess with him.
I know. We used to have the scouting reports on the refs.
It's
Do business as business is being
been
done.
done right. I always kind of, the let them play refs and the ones who are going to throw flags all over the place.
The principal refs. Rams versus the Saints. This was the crazy pass interference call that wasn't called.
The non-pass interference call.
And then they put in the challenge of the pass interference the next year, which was, how was that? That'd be horrendous. Remember,
Well,
what was the operation on doing those?
What they put in was the coaches had a lot more, which I was totally in favor of. Why after this game to have the league office say we blew the call? What good does that do if you blew the call? Probably cost the Saints a trip. Realistically, probably cost the Saints a trip to the Super Bowl. So why not let the coach challenge it? I understand it's pass interference. I understand it's judgment. This was flagrant. I mean, the calls you want to be able to challenge are the ones that are cut and dried. They're easy. And ours was the one. I had to do the challenges during the game, and the harder I have to look, the less likely we're going to get the call. I mean, if you see the ball, they said he caught it and it bounced. You see, it bounced off the ground. It bounced off there, like happened in this. We got a successful challenge. It was not a hard call. They said Watkins caught it. Well, no, he didn't. The ball hit the ground. So, but if you have something like this, everybody in the world could see it's pass interference. Well, let the coach challenge it. I mean, if the coach is wrong, he's going to lose a challenge and lose a timeout. But that's the reason. The whole reason you've got coaches' challenges in the first place is to try to get it right.
Yeah.
Let the referee the guys in the league office in New York, they study this stuff all the time. If they don't agree, fine. But at least as a coach, you got a chance to throw the red flag out there and try to get it right.
So, is there one challenge in your career that you still to this day think that got over that we didn't get that you think the league messed up on?
Yeah, there were a few that it's.
Which one?
Boy, no, that's.
You don't work
that
for a team you
Harry
can't get
one.
fined.
The Chiefs game in Foxborough. N'Keal Harry, the
N'Keal Harry touchdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's it looks, but some of this is, it's camera angle. I mean it was clear and obvious. It's not, and what. The standard that I always tried to force on myself was Al Riveron, who, of course, was the head of officiating for a long time. He said, don't tell me what you think, tell me what you saw. And that's the big...
Don't tell me what you think, tell me what you saw.
Ernie,
Just a quick one there while we're on the subject of challenging. Can you take us through the process of challenging a play when you were in New England? It was just you and Bill talking and coming to a decision?
Yes. And really, so I had every coach's booth has a monitor, which is nice, big screen, high definition, but it's the network feed of the games. I get, when you're a coach in the box, you get exactly what the fans get at home. There's no special cameras. And first place, you always want to challenge plays that are significant. Like I've seen coaches challenge a 2-yard completion. Seriously, I don't care. I don't care if the ball hit the receiver in the
Still missing a challenge.
You
using the challenge.
Right. I mean, okay, it's 2 yards. They blew it. Go on, next play.
But you still lose a challenge.
You lose it, right? Right.
be able to
So it's I want it to be it's like back in the day when it was now all turnovers get reviewed. In the first few number of years, that wasn't the case. So I remember, I think we're playing the Jets, and it was Aaron Hernandez. He went down. His ball, he's got the ball. His forearm hits the ground, and the ball comes out. He's down by contact. And this is turnovers are big. So that's the one. Those are the ones. You want to challenge, or same. Playing the Jets, and I think it was Deion Branch. He's down, he's got the ball, his knee's on the ground, Jet guy comes up, makes contact with him, the ball comes loose. Well, there's another situation. He's down, contact occurs. It's clear as day.
It wasn't a stumble bump.
So when there's a opportunity to potentially challenge, you said it's pretty much you and Coach Belichick. Now, is that a very collaborative conversation, or is it more of a trust because you can see the cameras?
Well, sometimes, in an ideal world, he's got he can look at the jumbotron.
Okay.
In fact, some coaches who really had, like I'm told, and I totally believe this, when Mike Shanahan was at Denver, when he put his right hand up in the air, that's give me the replay on the jumbotron right now. And you hopefully your organization's good enough. The guys running the jumbotron know, when the head coach puts his fist up in the air, get the jumbotron so that he can see it. And that's the ideal, because obviously, but there are other times there's no.
You're in an away game. They ain't showing that replay.
They ain't showing it. Yeah, and actually, the worst game was you get to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they got 72 cameras, but the network's got a whole other agenda. So you remember we challenged in Super Bowl 46, the Mario Manningham catch.
Yeah.
So it's a big play. I know. I mean, as soon as it happens, I know this is a big decision right here. And the network, they're doing a promo for Little House on the Prairie or something. I mean, come on, and it hits me. They're not going to show me the replay. It's a big enough play. It's obviously really tight. I think we just got to go ahead and do this, because the situation dictates. Now, as soon as we see the replay, yeah, he caught it. But, it's with 72 cameras here, they have priorities other than helping coaches make challenges.
Yeah.
This is a little screwed up. It is the Super Bowl, but, that's the way that one worked.
What's the most egregious missed call in the NFL history that you think of?
Well, the pass interference right here. I mean, it's fourth quarter. It's crunch time, and
Crunch time.
in a championship game. That's by definition. I mean, the only one you'd have bigger is if you had this play in the Super Bowl.
That was crazy.
Right.
I mean, the New Orleans fans still think the NFL's rigged because of it. We'll toss it to Jackie.
Hold on, real quick. Because this was an NFC Championship game and you guys would eventually play the winner of that, were you scouting any of these teams ahead of time, or are you focusing entirely on the Chiefs?
No, because the thing with, that if you go to the Super Bowl, you're going to get 2 weeks. So I don't really have, if they came and told us, hey, we're doing the Super Bowl next week, sorry, we're going to play a short week on a Thursday, then we would adjust our schedule like we would do on a Thursday night game. We'd know 3 weeks ahead of time it's a Thursday night game, so we're going to have to be up on that team we're playing Thursday because, we're only going, it's like what the coach, if we came in and won a game and had a Thursday night game coming up, what would Bill say to the team in the locker room? Hey guys, you need to understand this is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Get
Monday's a Wednesday.
Monday, it's
adjust your schedule.
Adjust the schedule. We always say, hey, you tell us when the games are, we'll be there. It could be raining, snowing, sunny, moon. The moon could be out. It could be, whatever. They'll tell us when to play. We're going to show up and be ready to play. But if it's a short week, you got to adjust to it. And so the fact that we have 2 weeks going into the Super Bowl, I never worried, about that game. I knew we was going to have plenty of time to get ready.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I think we talked last time about, like I knew, we're going to play, got to be ready to play the Colts in the division playoff in 2004. Yeah, I spent, 6 weeks, spend time every day getting ready for that.
Just like these years, you're probably doing it for the Chiefs.
Right. So it's, so you look ahead and you try to be smart about it.
Yeah. Jackie, why don't you break down these games?
Can we get one last challenge talk real quick? I have one more question.
Yes.
What's the science behind Bill keeping the red flag in the sock?
You know what? That's a good question for Bill. I think because he knows, he knows where it's going to be there. And because you get in, you're wearing wind pants.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, because we played the game. If you remember, 2016, we played the Rams at Gillette Stadium, and that was Jeff Fisher's last year as the head coach, And he's digging. He can't find the. He can't
Yeah.
find the. He wants to challenge a play, but you know he can't. You know, with the parka, the pockets, and all that, he can't find the flag.
Scouting the other coaches.
That's right.
I mean,
Copycat league. How do I make myself better?
yeah. You make sure you've got the flag right where you. Or you have somebody else with the flag who you stand right next to me, and you make sure you got the flag.
Gotta have a flag guy.
The best ability is availability, even for the flag.
The more you can do,
Amen.
the more you can do. Jackie,
Love
let's
it.
set the stage for this AFC Championship game.
These 2018 Chiefs. Let's talk about them real quick. A record of 12-4, started out hot 5-0, and the biggest storyline of this season, Patrick Mahomes' first season as a starter.
Wow.
They ship Alex Smith out before the season. They get rid of Marcus Peters. They're still on a roll. And Patrick Mahomes' first season as a starter wins league MVP.
Jesus.
50
Yeah.
touchdowns.
50 touchdowns. This is their 6th year under Andy Reid. This is an Eric Bieniemy coached offense. Bob Sutton was a DC, so this is pre-Spags. Guys, we love guy talk here. Some dudes, some notable names on this team. This is Kareem Hunt. This is Tyreek Hill. This is Travis Kelce. This is Sammy Watkins. This is Kelvin Benjamin. On the other side of the ball, you got Justin Houston, D. Ford, Eric Berry, Orlando Scandrick. I mean, this was a high-powered Chiefs team, and this is before they'd won the Super Bowl. So this is still Mahomes, baby Mahomes, but he's still shown us a ton. And like we mentioned earlier, that high-powered offense, 35 points a game.
And of course, because of all that, they were the number 1 seed, which is why we had to go play this game in Arrowhead.
In Arrowhead.
I mean, it was, like I say, it was cold. The people, and it's important to understand the difference between a championship game and the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, the way the tickets get divvied up, so there will be a lot of people there from both teams. There'll be people there who just,
Like football.
like football. But the championship game, it's a home game. For one team, and the places those fans know, hey, this is a big game for us, so the place will be pumped up. It's a totally different atmosphere.
100% agree. This was one of the most insane environments that I mean, Kansas City in general. We went and played them in 2014. They beat our ass on Monday Night Football. I mean, that place was electric. That place gets going. And to amplify it with an AFC Championship, like you said, they're all alcohol fueled.
And because it was the second game,
game.
they had the whole afternoon.
To
do nothing. Yeah.
They got those dry ribs, Kansas City barbecue. It was crazy. Now, what do you think?
I mean, and just to show you how crazy it was, you got the great barbecue places in Kansas City. You got Gates's and you got Bryant's, and some people I think it's Jack Stack. But I remember, the team dining room. There's bottles of Bryant's barbecue sauce right on every table for breakfast.
Yeah.
So it's if you like ribs, it's the place.
You scouting restaurants for away games?
Listen, if you're in Kansas City, I mean, I love ribs. Yeah, you know what the place is. I'm a Gates guy, but that's
Ernie did order ribs at Hillstones when we went to Hillstones for dinner.
Those were good. I'm still thinking about those deviled eggs. Ooh. Boy, were those good.
What do you think of what the Chiefs have accomplished since this game?
it's been phenomenal. Listen, they were winning multiple Super Bowls. Being and really okay. They lost one to because their offensive line was crippled up. I mean they've been for the last 6 years they've been like we were. Go to the championship game every year. Go to a bunch of Super Bowls. I mean I think it's a tremendous accomplishment.
Can you draw any similarities between this run and our run?
Just having I mean I'm not there, but I know it's you've got to have mentally tough people who know how to play over that long NFL season and can know how to show up and be there when it counts.
The one thing that I always say when people ask me this same question is it's been really impressive to see how they've reinvented their team the last 3 times.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like they've had to adjust, and they people don't realize how hard it is to sustain success with the salary cap, with when you have to pay certain guys and you don't have enough money for other guys, and having the humility and being humble enough to change their team from being a high-flying team like they were in this year to a run defensive kind of team these last couple years. I mean, that's something that we always had to adjust to. We always adjusted our team to what we could put on the field.
Yep.
So that's some of the stuff. What makes Andy Reid such a good coach?
He's got a great system. He believes in it. Obviously knows how to teach it. I mean, he's been doing it now, because remember, for him, before the Kansas City, there was Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And they went to, they had the string there. They went to, several NFC Championship games. And look, when you're in the Final Four and you lose a couple, people say, they're not that good. I mean, you forget it. To get just to get to the championship game, you got to be really good. There may be somebody who's just a little bit better and beats you, but that really shouldn't take away anything from what you do. Although in the end, there's 32 teams in the NFL. There's only one that gets to stand out there, with that final trophy. So just because maybe, hey, you didn't quite get there, you still could be really good. You just not quite good enough to win the championship.
How are Andy Reid and Bill different? And how are they alike?
Never, talks. Because I've never worked with Andy, and Bill I've known for 50 years. So that's a little bit of a hard one for me to.
I've heard that he practices hard. I heard that they practice really hard.
That's my impression. This is a team, when they come out for pregame warm-up, and nobody's screwing around. I mean, they're getting after playing football.
Yeah.
And you remember, particularly your younger days, I think we practiced hard.
We practiced, yeah.
I mean, we were in pads in camp.
Two-a-days, run in the morning, pass in the evening.
I mean, that's classic NFL.
Ugh.
I mean, that's why guys would have your offensive linemen. They'd have on their their 7-stud grass cleats for the morning. They'd have on their turf shoes for the afternoon for pass protection.
Yeah.
It's the old thing about the different games. Are you familiar with this?
A little bit.
Okay. Croquet is a gentleman's game played by gentlemen. Soccer is a beastly game played by gentlemen. Rugby is a gentleman's game, that. Football is a beastly game played by beasts. Okay, I mean, it's it's a nasty game, and if you want to learn how to play it, it's hard, it's tough.
It's tough. You better be willing to bleed, eat some dirt, take a tablespoon of cement. At least back in the day. I don't know about now. I'm joking.
But it's and that's what you say. And I don't really know any good teams that were soft.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's this. Some teams maybe have tried, and there's just some of the teams, the players come say, "Whoa, it wasn't like this the last team I was at." Well, great. How many championships did you win?
Yeah. Now, did you scout Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech?
We did not really, because this was at the stage we said there is zero possibility of us taking a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but he was.
No. I wish. I wish I could say I'd studied it more than I did. But
have you seen his evolution from the early part of his career? What have you noticed? How has he evolved? If you've watched it.
Yeah. He started off really good, and he's gotten better.
Sums it up.
And being a good quarterback in the NFL, it's a high wire act. There's no net, so you got to be aggressive with the ball. But you just got you got to know at some point there's that fine line between being reckless, being aggressive and being reckless.
Now, I always remember when we would be playing against these teams, the game plan when you're playing against a Patrick Mahomes team. I just remember as an offensive guy, plaster. We got to plaster. What's the game plan?
So the biggest thing,
what does plaster mean?
Plaster means when the quarterback starts scrambling, you find a guy. If there's a guy open, go get on him.
Mm-hmm.
what made this team so dangerous was you got Mahomes and you got Tyreek Hill, who's, the speed factor really changes things. So we got to be over the top on him. The other guys are good, but we have to, we have to take this guy away deep. And that's what I say. You always start off, what at the heart of it, what do we really need to do on defense here?
So what did we do to do that?
So we had we had safety over the top of him all day, which worked out. But they got, that leaves other people one-on-one. I mean, we get it later in the game. They start hitting us with the backs on the wheels. They hit the big play to Hill when Mahomes scrambled. And now you always premise your defense. We'll get a pass rush. We'll keep the quarterback contained. The ball's going to have to come out in about 3 seconds. When the quarterback gets loose, and now he's got up that 5-6 second range, things start to break down. Bad stuff happens. Again, this is, you get your plan, you practice it, and you do the best you can.
Now, how come Travis Kelce always seems wide open?
Because he's, you get, number one, he's got other, other great players around him, so they can't just double up on him. He knows how to work, when the quarterback's moving around, he can adjust with it, and and he's got great tools for a receiver.
Yeah, and for this specific Kansas City team, the number one thing was we have to contain Hill. We can't let him have a big play.
Stay over the top of him.
Stay over the top. Put Jay Jones, our fastest guy, on him. Put our other guys.
Right. So if he goes over to Watkins, you got Steph, and there's a couple plays there in the second quarter. I mean, it's back-to-back plays. I mean, Steph just wires him at the line of scrimmage. So yeah, you got single coverage, but it's against Steph Gilmore, and your guy can't get off the line of scrimmage. And then stuff happens during the game. They hit one big play on him because he kind of takes a sneak. What you can't do. I mean, you're an old defensive back. You played in the AFC Championship game. When it's man-to-man coverage, what's the most important thing?
Keep your leverage.
Keep your leverage and keep your focus on the receiver.
And your receiver. Do not have your eyes in the background.
You stick your eyes back at the quarterback, it's over. And even as great a player as Steph is, got caught one time, he stuck a peek back, and it's going the wrong direction. So I mean, this is, like I say, it's a messy game. Stuff happens. You just keep going. Do the best you can, and you try to make more plays for your team than their guys are making for their team.
Yeah,
you can have a plan and all that. It doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, I mean, you always got to adjust, as we know.
Okay, because the other team is doing exactly. The other team's trying to counteract what you're doing.
Adjust to the adjustments.
Yeah,
that's how it's simple. Now, Jack, let's set the stage for the Patriots.
Let's go through this Pats roster. We touched on a lot of these guys earlier, and we know this roster inside and out. This is an 11-5 season for the Patriots, coming off back-to-back Super Bowl appearance. Their 8th AFC title appearance in a row. It's 8th straight.
8th straight.
Insane. Won the AFC East for the 10th straight year. This is Jules' first year back after the ACL tear. Coming back, baby. Coming back. This was also the season of the dreaded Miracle in Miami game.
Oh.
Which we hate. We hate that. We hate that game.
Which
proved to kind of be pivotal.
Why do we hate that game, Ernie?
Because you shouldn't lose. I mean, we lost the game because we played bad football. I mean, if you go out and play a good, solid game, the other team just beats you, okay, you beat it. If you go out and lose a game because you screwed it up, that's bad.
Will we have changed the Gronk being back there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep going.
And this was a little bit unique for a Patriot season. Back-to-back double-digit losses there in week 2 and 3. You'll remember the loss to Matty P on Monday Night Football when he was in Detroit. Remember that one? That was a bummer of a game too.
I was on vacation. I was away.
Forget that. But also in this season, this will kind of take us into the lead up. There was a week 6 game at Gillette Stadium that saw 83 total points, 43-40. The Patriots beat the Chiefs.
And this was like a week after the Rams and or maybe 2 weeks after. Remember the Rams played the Chiefs?
That was actually, I think, a little later.
Or was it later?
Yeah.
Where it was like 40. It was a lot.
Yeah. It was like 54, 48 or something.
That game was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was week 11. Good memory. 54-48 51 at the LA Memorial Coliseum, baby. What a game that was. Jared Goff,
Yeah.
Mahomes, a duel.
Now, how much did we pull from Week 6 game? Because we beat the Chiefs this year.
There's nothing like, hey, you get a sense, well, okay, some things with our team we should have done more of it. We need to fix up. There's nothing like, like the opportunity to go play it. It's like playing your division games. You know those teams. They know you. Well, I mean, the Chiefs, we played them in the opener of 2017. We played them in this game earlier in 2018. We had actually played them in a playoff game in 2016, I want to say. So, I mean, and even that was okay. That was with, pre-Mahomes. But, I mean, we knew, I always kind of felt like this was a little bit like playing the Colts when Manning was there. It's a little bit like a division game for us. We know us, they know them. It's different than going playing a game. Truly, the players we haven't played against, coaches we haven't coached against, like an NFC team.
Yeah. We play them early in the season, and we get to pull certain situations from that game that we can incorporate into our game plan going forward. Now, can we explain situational football to the listener? We always talk about situational football, and everyone associates, this team does situational football good all the time. What is situational football, Ernie?
So there are some, like for instance, short yardage. We didn't do a good this game we're going to look at in against the Chiefs 2000. We did a bad job on offense.
Well, what is short yardage?
Short yardage would be when you're out in the field. It's third or fourth down, and you've got 1 yard to get the first down.
1 to 2 yards?
1 to 2. Although the way it's gone, that 2 yard, it's more like 1 to 1.5 yards.
Okay.
Where that's, normally, if it's 1st and 10, you'd like to see, and you run the ball, you really like to get 4 yards. You'd say, you're not behind, because now it's 2nd and 6. Now you can run and pass again. On the 3rd and 1, you need 1 yard. If you get it, you get a new set of downs. If you don't get it, depending on where the ball is, you're probably gonna have to punt. So it's a very, both teams are playing, for that 1 yard.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's 1st and 10,
Is 1st and 10 a situation?
No. Well, it is, but it's not. But you're going to have 20. On an average game, if you're an offensive coordinator, you can expect to make 24 1st and 10 calls during the game.
Now, what's the difference between a P10 and a 1st and 10?
A P and 10 is the first down of a series.
Okay.
So some teams will have. You can look at them, and some teams may go a little bit differently.
So is that a different situation, P10 and 1st and 10?
It can be a little bit different, but as opposed to, like I said, short yardage, where both teams you're playing for 1 yard, or it can be, critical. It can be out in the field. It can be 3rd and 6 inches, but it can be, a big.
Now, is that a 3rd down situation,
No,
or is that a short yardage?
It's short yardage.
Okay.
Yes, it is 3rd down, but it's a very specific subset of 3rd down to short yardage.
So for the listener, the situation is every exact moment of the game. So short yardage being a 3rd down situation, but 3rd down situation could be broken up into 3 different situations. There's a 3rd and short. There's a short yardage play. 3rd and short being 2 to 5 or 2 to 4. 2
to 4, and then you're going to end up with you always have to be ready. Third, unusual. 3rd and 18 plus, and you need a first down.
That's just in 3rd and long category,
right? But I mean, you have to be ready. If that comes up. I mean, sometimes it could be 3rd and 18, and say, listen, let's just get 8 yards here and punt. We don't want to throw the ball. We don't want to take a big sack. You have it be 4th and 30. But there's other 3rd and 18s. We really need to try to pick this up. So that's why we would always try to have, something, in our bag of tricks for, that 3rd and 18. We got to try to pick it up.
So situational football.
And it can also be having to do with the time situation late in the game. Situational football, it tends to come up most, when you get under 5 minutes to go in the game, when the clock's a factor, the score's a factor, when everything kicks in.
What is a situational football play that you prepared for or you had the team prepare for that you can remember that it came into the game, probably under a weird circumstance, in that we executed?
Well, I mean, the famous one, situational football was down the goal line against the Seahawks. I mean, because they had, like all teams, they have some things they're good at. They like to run. They had, the way they like to throw the ball down there, that we worked at, famously, Malcolm gets the interception, that we had worked on that route in practice. Hey, this is the play they like to run down there, so what else are we going to work on?
Now, how does situational football help you for that situation?
Well, but being on the goal line, goal line. I mean, when they got the ball inside your 2-yard line, it's really, they get 2 yards, they get 6 points.
How did we get a tell on this specific situation through the preparation?
Because we had, going through. I had my Seahawks book.
Was it green?
Green?
Dark color, whatever.
Dark, all right.
But getting ready to play, specifically that Friday practice, before the Super Bowl. What do they like? I got 4 play. When I have 4 plays on the goal line, what do they like to run? Well, they got a couple of routes here. They obviously really like it, having the outside receiver come on an under route. It'd be irresponsible not to show that to the team because they've run this multiple times.
Now, was there a specific thing that the defense did? So, like in that specific play in the Seahawks, we kept in.
Well, we were in goal line, 3 corners. So the interior part of the defense was in goal line front. So everybody said, why don't they just hand the ball off to
Marshawn
Lynch? Well, because we had a goal line front in there, they were in 11 personnel, which means there was going to be somebody unblocked, which famously happened when we played in 2003, regular season against the Colts. Similar situation. We were in a goal line front. They handed the ball off to Edger and James. Willie McGinnis was unblocked off the edge, and guess what happened? He hit him 3 yards in the backfield, and the game was over. So that's what we tried to do. We tried to have a goal line front to stop the run and then have corners against their wide receivers. We didn't have linebackers matched up trying to cover their wide receivers. So that's
why they checked into that
That's
play.
why, really, the fact that they were in 11 personnel, they had 3 wide receivers in the game, and we had a goal line front end, there really was no run and play they could call where they could block us. I mean, they could have tried to hand off, and maybe Marshawn Lynch would have broken a tackle 2 yards in the backfield to run for a touchdown. But if you're coaching the game, and they kind of knew, because the way that matched up, they kind of knew they had to throw it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing about when you're spread out, the defense kind of dictates to you if it's going to be a run or pass. If they come up and pack the line of scrimmage, you really can't run. But you got one-on-ones with your receivers.
So that's an example of studying the situation of short yardage goal line and then taking a situation that was from 2003, remembering that, having it logged in the back of your brain that, hey, we gave this same look to a 11 personnel group team with the Colts, went back 3 yards, dictated Seattle into changing.
Well, it was, I don't know if they remember, but I mean, and it
but
was,
for you guys,
for
played
us,
this situation
and it was,
out.
I mean, it was a huge, it was that 03 regular season. We got a big lead on the Colts. They came back. It came down to one play. I mean, they're either going to score a touchdown or win, and we're going to stop them. They're spread out. They hand the ball off. And, of course, what's famous, on my mind, because I respect him so much, but after the game, Peyton Manning is on both knees with his hands looking up like this, and we're running around because we just made a big play. But I mean, that's the it's one play. The game's on the line. You have having the right thing called.
So the situational football forced him to throw in this situation.
It should have dictated. It dictated. It dictated a pass.
Dictated a pass, and that's what, folks. That's situational football. Breaking down, it's the game within the game.
Game within the game, right? Or it's being particularly at the end of games when it's every play really counts. You can win or lose the game on one play. The clock's a factor. You have to really figure in everything.
Which for a player is huge because, you know, on a Friday practice or a Monday or a Saturday travel day walkthrough, you go through 5-6 situations, and you're over here. We've practiced them a bunch, and you get like, all right, we've gone over this situation so many times. But then when it comes down to, like in Ernie's point, the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, we get into these situations. We were never surprised. Other teams would be surprised when they got into the situation, which leaves you in jeopardy of not honing down your task and doing your job for that specific play.
Right. And you know, it's going fast. I mean, you may have gotten hit 3 plays ago on your arm. You may think you got a broken arm. So there's a lot of stuff going on. As a coach, you just hope you've done enough of the preparation so that enough of it comes back that your team can pull it off and do it when it counts.
And that's situational football. Now, we're going to jump into this Chiefs game.
Yep.
And when we were doing our prep call with Ernie, he wanted to get into a deep dive. He's like, I want to deep dive into some plays. Like, all right, Ernie, we can do some plays. But like, why don't you send over the plays? Ernie sent over about how many?
30
plays that he wanted to go over deep dive. I say, Ernie, we'd be here for 4 hours.
Okay.
We'll show that. Those are all the plays he wanted to go over. And we said, hey, Ernie, how about 5 plays? So that's what we are going to do. Why did you pick these plays? What plays are they? Well, let's dive into it.
Because I thought, okay, so there's a bunch of, obviously there's going to be a bunch of plays we can't cover, but let's do plays where there's something interesting on every play, something that we can really talk about. Maybe the fans don't really see. Like, for instance, I got one, because I really like the way our offensive line executed on a screen pass.
So what play is this? Let's jump into it.
Well, so we're late. This is, I think, right at the end of the first half, like 51 seconds left.
This first one is 2 minutes and 25 seconds.
Well, the first one we have to start.
We have to.
Okay, we all agreed we have to start with this. We got Cordell Patterson run, what everybody calls the jet sweep.
Jet sweep. So the down and distance is 2nd and 9.
Yeah.
The ball is on Kansas City's 33-yard line. The situation, Pats up 7-0.
And of course, the reason that we got to start with this, Jules, is because on this play, you got to come in and crack on the middle linebacker.
Got to crack on the middle linebacker.
Okay, which is like this is how many times in an average season, how many times you crack on a middle linebacker?
I would say maybe 2, depending on a game plan. Game plan.
So this is a little bit of an advantage receiver because you got the element of surprise because those linebackers don't really come out looking, hey, where's that receiver going to crack me? Now, if you've done it once in a game, you're not going to get away with it a second time in a game because they will be looking for you. The first time, you got a little bit of the element of surprise.
So we have the element of the surprise. 2nd and 9. This is one of the plays, one of the 5 most important plays.
This is one of the interesting plays.
Interesting.
You tell me when you're ready to move on. We can go on.
So this is a trips right, twins. What is trips right?
We're in empty here.
Empty.
We're going to motion back in the backfield, hand off to. We'll end up basically in a bunch right. We create the formation.
And so explain why this is an impressive play.
Well, it's because you come in and the biggest thing is, first of all, you get CP coming, you give him a chance to do what he does best, which is get the ball in his hands and try to get out on the edge. And then, we've got, we get him a little bit because we've got, we're cracking on the linebacker.
Element of surprise.
And I always look, you can run offensive football. You can run with power. You can run with speed, and you can try to have a play with deception. Here we've got, no question, speed with a little bit of deception mixed in.
Power.
Well, power plays when you're really going right at it. We came out in this game running the ball right at them. We were playing the game, with some power coming right off the start.
I felt like we controlled the game
in
the box.
We absolutely controlled the game in the box, controlled the tempo of the game, and we kept their offense off the field.
And because of plays like this, where we would be in a regular, 12 personnel group, and we would run a power, or we'd give it to Rex, and I'd have a traditional go get the safety force. It was the deception with the
Come on, your lineup starting off here in empty.
empty.
Well, in empty, we're realistically, we're not going to just snap the ball to Tom and have a quarterback run. And that's, they know it's not going to happen. When you're in empty, they know you're throwing.
Yeah.
So they're geared for the pass. We motion back in, and hand the ball off quick, and boom, there we go.
Execution. That's awesome.
Here you are, Jules, on the right there.
On the right, me and Rob.
Back on the sideline, 2nd and 9.
Speed motion.
Take it off.
Hitting.
And I will,
Inside the 20.
and I will guarantee you that linebacker, when you came in, it was a whiskey tango foxtrot right there.
Whiskey tango
Go foxtrot. But he was not expecting that, and you walled him off and took him out of the play.
It was also really run that back. Play it. Really good job by Gronk taking 2.
Taking 2, and you got him.
Just being big.
And so you get CP, who's got he's got some jets when he gets the ball in his hands. You get you sealing the back of Rob. I mean that's why the play worked.
Yeah, that was a great play, and it set up. I mean, I think we went on. What did we do in this drive?
I think this is the drive where we ended up going down and throwing the interception on the play action pass on the goal line.
This play went for 15 yards.
We were driving the ball. Up
We
and down.
we were in control here, but we get down there, we're ahead 7-0. We got the ball on the goal line. You're like, hey, we're gonna go 14-0 here.
Yeah,
And but
they get paid too.
like Lee Corso says, not so fast.
Not so fast. Anything else from this play, Ern?
That was really the like I said. There's no way I'm not. Great shot of you coming in and blocking a backer. There's no way we weren't starting with that.
I love it.
Love it. Yes.
Love it.
And in fact, Christine watched this game with me. She said, "You got to put that play in there."
Thanks, Mrs. Adams. Yes. All right, and pivotal play number 2, 5:35, second quarter, down in distance, 1st and 10. Ball on the Kansas City 35-yard line. New England is up 7-0. What do we got here, Ern? Play 2.
This is, like I say, the big thing here.
This is for a Kansas City play.
This is a Kansas City play. We got your Hill double. We got somebody over the top of him. It doesn't quite work out the way we want it here. This is a great route by Tyreek Hill. Not only is he fast, but he comes in, brings the ball almost into the hash mark, takes it back out on a deep flag route. Mahomes breaks loose, and this is they hit him for about 50 yards here.
And they called it the Helen Keller audible call.
You know what? This is. I know they have. They got like we had some place we had names for.
Yeah, everyone tells everyone what to do.
Right. It's a
NASCAR play.
It's a NASCAR play. We had Wolf, Jaguar, Jordan. We had Air Force One. I mean, so they got. I know they got Helen Keller. I mean, I think they had this year. They had something they call Tom and Jerry. I mean, it's.
What else did you? Studied those, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
you did.
sometimes.
Yeah,
but I will tell you this. Like for instance, I know you get on TV. Sometimes you can hear the quarterback play. Well, a good quarterback will go watch the TV tape, and when there's something that was obvious, hey, I called something during the game, and it might be distinctive. That would be changed for next week.
They'll change it.
So like they had, like I say, they had the Chiefs this past year. I mean, they had a Tom and Jerry. They had the only big. It made sense to their offense, and if you're on the other team, you have no idea. So just play.
Some quarterbacks might change it. Others might name their production company after it.
There you go. Well, right, but that was yeah, right.
So they use the fake speed sweep. They have a deep V route. The deep V route by Tyreek Hill, which is You run directly at that safety until he makes or declares where he's going to go. And then once he does that, he's going to hit it to the flag route. Patrick Mahomes, with his second play, gets loose and is able to hit
Right. This is
Mahomes.
This is how they get 50 yards in a chunk. Great players, making a great play. And
What could have we done better to contain
well,
this?
number one, you never want Mahomes running around loose with the ball, because that's just adding. If you've got him contained, he's basically going to have 3 seconds to throw it, which gives your coverage guys a chance. When he gets loose, now he's got 6 or 7 seconds, and that's all that extra time for the receivers to get open. I mean, bad stuff's going to happen to you on defense when you let him get out. Like we had one of the plays, which I don't think we have on the list, where he's got a third down on about our 30-yard line. We get the pressure on him, and we get the sack, which not only a sack, it took them out of field goal range.
Yeah.
So they got to kick it. So I mean, it's keeping him bottled up. It's defense, like offense. It's a team proposition. You got to keep him contained, keep the coverage, limit the time he has to throw the ball, and that's what gives you a chance. When things break down, he starts running around.
Unpredictable.
The chances of something bad happening for the defense and a big play for the offense go up tremendously.
So the man of integrity of football, Ernie Adams, picks one for the Patriots and his second good plays for the Chiefs.
I'm trying to be the objective. Our fans might want to see. You described the V route that he's going to run. How does the receiver get open deep? Well, we're going to see.
Let's see it.
Let's see
Put it on. So if you watch Tyreek Hill right here, and this is podcast version, but see how he's got the speed to outside release and then attack the safety and manipulate the coverage, thinking he's going to go out. But once he starts going in,
I think you get a good shot of this actually coming from the end zone.
watch.
Right here. Watch Tyreek Hill. He's got 2 people on.
See, taxes safety. You can't see the safety, but with the
Devin, well, the fact he's coming in, he freezes Devin.
Yeah.
So when he breaks out, is all he's got in front of him is green grass.
and Keon probably should have kept the outside leverage.
Well, the big, yeah, but it's when the other thing he's dealing with that kind of speed he's got there.
Yeah.
That's where, for instance, when Chiefs beat San Francisco in the Super Bowl, their first Super Bowl win. Big play in the game was it's a little different, but sort of similar. Deep flag route to Hill. It's like all those other players are playing in 4th gear, and Hill's playing in 6th gear.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what just went by me. It's like those guys were flying, the famous United States fighter plane in World War II was the P-51, and they're, the Mustang was a great plane, and the first time they were in combat, and they ever saw, the Germans had, the jet. What just went by me? I mean, that's, the world just changed when something just went by you that fast.
And that was Tyreek Hill.
That was Tyreek Hill, yeah.
That's great execution. I mean, that's one in a generation type route. There's only like 3 people in the history of the league that can run a route like that, where you can outside release and then get back into the middle of the field to then open up the outside flag.
Right, and that's why this guy was such a dominant player for them. That's why we said we got to double him every play, because he's that dangerous. He can do this stuff. I mean, if you don't have somebody over the top, they're going to rain touchdowns over your head.
So you can live with 8 15-yarders, but this guy can get 50 in one.
Right, and you may not. Hey, not to say you like giving up 15-yard plays to Travis Kelce, but it's better than giving up a touchdown.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. Pivotal play number 3, or play that we want to discuss, number 3, Ernie edition. Down and distance is 1st and 10. It's 51 seconds in the second quarter. This is a huge situational alert end of half play. It is on the ball is on New England's 32. Pats are up 7-0. Ernie's note, good shot at our offensive executing a screen pass. Let's show what the O-line does on the screen pass.
And so this is, it's the 1st and 10 here. We've got time. It's the end of the first half. This is not desperation. We have to score a touchdown. This is at a minimum, though. We want to get in position where Steve can kick a field goal for us.
So is this a situational, going back to situational
Well,
football?
we remember we will always work the 2-minute drive, but there's a difference, 2 minutes at the end of a half, 2 minutes at the end of a game. I mean, if it's at the end of a game and you need a touchdown to win it,
We gotta go.
You got to go. You're going to be aggressive. You're going to take some chances because if it's right now, do or die. If we don't do it, the game is over. End of the first half, it's very different. We would like to go down and score, but we got a half of football to go. What we don't want to do is give the ball back to them.
With time.
So it's a little different. Now, the big thing before we get into this, this is how we always want to get the 2-minute drive started.
Got to get it started.
Right?
Chunk play, get it started.
So here we're going with the screen, and this is a great job by our linemen because offensive linemen on a screen, a little bit like everybody else, they've got to have a sense of the coverage. Okay? And we have what we call man coverage. You have a cover linebacker. So there's going to be a linebacker
Peel off guy.
fairly close to the line of scrimmage who's man-to-man on your back, and you got to get him blocked. You got to know that I may get man coverage. That's the cover linebacker. We got to get him blocked. If they drop off and play zone, it's easy. So always for an offensive lineman, thinking, number one, I got a cover linebacker man-to-man. I got to get him. If they zone, we react to it. Okay? So right here, we've got a situation where they've got man coverage on our back.
Let's watch it. So we got man coverage on our back.
See right there? So in this case, it's Sorensen. And you can see him. He's coming up to make the play, and Shaq, he's right there. Shaq's just enough of him to get the screen started, and because it's right here, here comes Sorensen up for the back. Right there, that block. And now everybody else is man coverage. So the other defensive players are run off, and that's what allows James to get going upfield.
And
It's all the work that Scar would do with the offensive line on screens, seeing what the defense is doing and knowing when I got a linebacker right here, I got to get him right now.
people think that's easy.
Right. Well, you're talking about being out in space on a smaller, more athletic guy. It is not easy, but the biggest thing you got to do as a lineman, you got to anticipate this situation before the play starts. It's not, oh, gee, what could happen here? No, I got to look for the cover linebacker.
So you have to be able to recognize as an offensive lineman kind of the coverage.
Right. You don't necessarily know what the safety is doing, but you have to recognize this linebacker's man-to-man on my back. He's going to be on him quick, and I got to get him right now.
And that was the number one thing that whenever we were installing our screens, the number one thing is you have to get it started. There's always, maybe a lineman comes up and doesn't bite on it. One of the offensive linemen were assigned, well, you got to get it started.
And another thing on a screen as an offense, you've got to be an actor. The offense has to be actors on a screen.
Yeah.
You've got to make the defense think, hey, this is just a regular pass. I got to get the ball rushing upfield. You want to get the lineman rushing by you. You let them go, and then you're out in the screen wall. So this is, what old-time coaches would say, they screens and draws labeled together. They call them the deceptives.
The deceptives.
Okay? You got to be actors.
We'd always, on double moves or stuff like this, I'd always hear Brady give a reminder. Pacino! You got to be a good actor.
Be a good actor. There you go.
Actor. Awesome.
And this, just to clarify this situation, this led to the Philip Dorsett touchdown. Patriots go up 14-0 at the half.
But this is the start of the 2-minute drive. Without getting this going, we're not going to hit Dorsett on the out and up.
100%.
Amen.
This is, whenever we would go into a 2-minute situation install, there were 3 keys. One of the keys was you have to get it started. The other one was you always had to get a chunk play being 25 yards or something, or a 15-yard run.
Yep.
And the third one was always try to come out with some points.
Right.
Those were the three main things. Those were the keys to the play. You had to get it started. You don't want to start the drive off with, a slapdick throw. You throw it inbounds. The guy gets tackled inbounds. You have to waste a timeout. And this goes back into the situational football category of what we were taught throughout the week, throughout the installs, for us to be prepared for this specific situation.
Right. And and the other thing over on particularly end of the game when the game is really on the line, you got to play your best football right there when, the clock's against you, you're tired, you got to play your best football.
You got to. Next play. Minute 33 in the third quarter. The down and distance is 3rd and 2. Ball is on the Kansas City 44-yard line. The Pats are up 17-7. Kansas City's ball. What do we got, Ern?
So to me, this is where this game is, and here we are, late third quarter, kind of everything's under control, and this is the play where all hell started to break loose. Okay, because what we've got here, we've got a blitz coming. Mahomes, he's got an unblocked, he's got Claiborne unblocked, defensive lineman coming right in his face. No panic with the football. Makes an incredible throw, kind of threw it under Claiborne. I mean, how'd you do? I remember during the game, I'm like, how the hell did he do that? Kind of threw it under Claiborne's arm for completion. That got them going. Then they come back, hit the wheel down the sidelines. And this is where it went from being, kind of a control football to being NBA basketball. I mean, everybody started running up and down the field, making plays all over the place. And it started right here.
So this was the momentum changer.
Right, because, okay, let's just take a look here. It's 3rd and 2. The Chiefs got the ball in their own territory. Well, let's just say Mahomes, he can't make the completion, has to throw it away. Now it's going to be 4th and 2. Now they got a big decision to make. Are they going to go for it here in their own territory, or are they going to punt it to us?
So this is kind of like the little Dutchman when he puts his finger in the levee. And then another hole breaks. You think he detected it?
So you can see, freeze it right there. So you can see right here, look at those defensive backs. I mean, if you can see, we might as well be holding up a sign. Hey, we're blitzing. Yeah. Okay, it's man coverage straight across the board. This is classic blitz look for a quarterback.
But they should still try if they could. Well, side
oh.
He is able to get that right around, I believe it's Hightower.
Arm angle.
I mean, this is like a submarine. That's a 300-pound guy coming at you unblocked, who's aiming right for the middle of your chest to still get that ball off. Nope, he knows he's going to get the crap knocked out of him too. Just stand in there, make the throw, be ready.
Patrick Mahomes.
Get in the huddle, run the next play. I mean, that's about as big. You talk about a tough guy playing quarterback. I mean, you're just going to stand there. You're going to get killed, but you got to make the completion.
That's the play that you can't evaluate when you're looking at a NFL quarterback coming out, throwing in T-shirts, throwing in shorts, watching him play against Louisiana Lafayette Tech School of the South. I mean, that's what you can't evaluate.
And I'm gonna be so now. I'm not working for any team. I'm gonna tell you that's the play right there. If you remember, if you watched the Patriots last season, similar kind of situations happens to Mac Jones at that game over in Germany. Mm-hmm. He's got the guy coming out, and he panics with the ball and throws a terrible interception. I mean, and that's the difference right there. He panicked with the football.
And, the quarterback's, he knew he was hot. He knew there was an unblocked guy. But it's about being able to execute in the situation. Because if you can do it once, the team's not going to blitz you again. But if you do a Mac Jones throw, you're getting it all night.
Yep.
You're getting it all night.
And you're right. And exactly. You're going to get
or
hit.
Any other rookie or any other quarterback. It's not just Mac Jones. I don't want everyone, way back.
And they play. So this past year, they're playing, the Chiefs are playing the divisional playoff game against the Dolphins. And the Dolphins, they came after him. And there was guys coming free all night.
Yeah.
And they just stand in there, make the throw.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And the pivotal plays.
so now it goes from being, they're a 3rd and 2 on their side of the field. Now they got 1st and 10, on our end, and they can open up. They hit a wheel, and it's.
And that's
But like I say, this was really okay. It's
so. This is the OT. We're gonna have a chunk of plays in these last ones.
Okay.
Pivotal plays, situations, or plays in depth for the viewer. In overtime, we have the first play, first in.
And just to set the scene here, these are 3rd and 9s where if we don't pick this up, we kind of got a punt. And now not only does Mahomes have the ball, but we've had our possession, so they can win with a field goal.
So these are big.
So these are like everything. This is truly everything's on the line here. It's not like 3rd down in the middle of the first quarter. Yeah, you punt it. Okay, keep playing. This is like what we always talked about. Gotta have it. This defines I gotta have it. We either get this or the whole complexion of the game just changes instantly.
For the listener, gotta have it is an actual situation where, this is a gotta have it situation. It usually comes down to a play where it's going to influence the whole game. It could be a 4-point play, which is a 3rd down in the red area. That's a gotta have it play where you have to, or a 4th down where you need to get it, games on the line. That's a gotta have it. And so you would study gotta have it plays by the defense in gotta have it situations. So like as a route runner, when I'm watching this play and we're seeing the looks that they're giving us, we've already kind of seen what the Chiefs love to do in this situation when it was nut cutting time. So you can kind of have a sense of, there's probably like a 70% chance that we're going to get this coverage.
And then we would have specific times in practice where we would have this. We would tell everybody. Bill would stand out there. This is a gotta have it situation. We would, in fact, we'd create it down. It's 3rd and 9. It's 2 minutes. This is gotta have it. To try to raise, the attention. This is just not another random play.
Without a doubt. So the first one, it's 3rd and 9. Ball's on New England's 35-yard line. Let's watch the play. So we're coming in motion. We see we have man coverage. They mess it up.
But it's their little mess up. You get that one step. That's what we're looking for. You get a step here. It's crucial. You're not going to get 7 steps.
No.
You're just trying to just get enough so that Tom's got a chance, to get the ball in there and keep the chains moving.
So when I'm watching this with the motion, you do a lot of these kind of motions in these specific situations because it creates traffic, it creates communication for the defense. The 2 defensive backs, they had to communicate. You see, they didn't communicate. So you go play the play. So they didn't communicate. They mess up the communication. So I say, Tom, give me ball right now. Tom sees it before I see it, and he's looking to throw it right away. That's from just reps of working together. And, we're able to get a 3rd and 9, which, 3rd and 9 is tough, especially in this situation.
In this situation, like I say, in the back of your mind when you run this play, it's 3rd and 9, and if we don't get it, like I say, Mahomes has got it, probably in pretty decent field position, and he can win it with a field goal.
Exactly.
So this is, it's like, look, so we go, they scored, they kicked the field goal at the end of regulation and tied at 31. So, we're going, and, Bill says, okay, what do you want to do? And a lot of times, Bill in his heart is a defensive coach. Bill loves, get a stop on defense and then put us in a situation where we can win it with a field goal. But this is when, hey, okay, we just saw all hell break loose in the 4th quarter. It's Brady and Mahomes. I want to be the guy that's got the ball first. But okay, we get the ball first. We got to go. If we punt, we're probably going to lose the game here.
So did that 3rd and 2 that we already discussed with Patrick Mahomes doing that launch angle, did that
it's
breaking of the flood coming to this decision of taking the ball?
You're watching the game. Both teams are taking the ball up, and because they go ahead. We had the big drive to go take the lead 28-24. I mean, this is we're watching a track meet here.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not like this is there's some blinding snowstorm. This is 3-0 game. You put like the Denver game against Peyton Manning where we took the wind. Well, it's a big time. The conditions dictated. This game, what's dictating is, nobody can play defense anymore.
Exactly. No one can play defense. So the second time on this drive, down in distance, 3rd and 10. Let's watch the play. So once again, we're running the same play. Motion. Now they communicated it, and now I just got across because they had a thief robber, the safety, who was real high. So usually my depth's supposed to be a little deeper, but I saw all game that Sorensen was. You see him, or they played a cover 5 right there.
5 right there.
So they played cover 5. Well, usually they would have a guy waiting for you, so we were trying to mess up our depths, but we ran the exact same play.
Yep.
Would you say that we are a repeat team in this situation?
You know what? It's the philosophy we always had was when it gets down, the true got to have it. Get your best players on your best play. I mean, if we're going to lose it, that's our best chance. We don't want to run something that we don't really know, we're not familiar with. Oh, we didn't work. Oh, yeah, we can go practice it next week. There is no next week. Go with your best. When it's on the line, you go with your best stuff. And that's, I think it's every coach and every player really knows, we try to change up our looks and be deceptive, but when it counts, we're going with what we do.
When you see in the press box it's cover 5 and we have this, are you like, we got it?
I'm thinking, thank you. I mean, I'll be honest, my thought here was, and I've known Bob Sutton for, close to 40 years, and, he's a friend of mine, but when you and Rob, the one thing you don't do against our team is open up the middle of the field. I mean, I'm just not going to, hey, great. Make him, if Brady can hit Philip Dorsett on an 18-yard comeback, fine. But I'm not going to give up we're an inside passing team, always have been. I'm not giving up the inside of the field.
Can I just interject for a second, too, from the fan layman perspective? You guys are having a very high-level, kind of chess-level conversation, strategy, and scouting on what goes on here. Tom still had to make the throw. The line still had to make the blocks. Jules still had to make the catch, too. So that combination of high level and execution is just...
It's total. But, I mean, this is championship football. This is every player has got to execute. Like she said, hey, I mean, if the left tackle gets a bad set on his pass protection and they get the edge on him, he can mess up Tom's throw. I mean, this is a total this is a total team game. A true got to have it championship level football against really good NFL players. I mean, this is why tens of millions of people want to watch these games on TV. These are gifted people doing something that's really hard. This stuff is hard.
That's why we love it.
That's why we love it. And let's cap it off with the last 3rd and 10 on the same exact drive in overtime in the AFC Championship in Arrowhead to go to the Super Bowl. 3rd and 10. What are the statistics usually you're getting a 3rd and 10?
Even for a good team, I mean, if you can pick this up, 40% of the time,
you're really good. 40% on a 3rd and 10 is
really
a phenomenal. It's usually about 15.
Yeah, right. But I mean, when you start, it's 15 if you take all the teams. It's a little better if you got
the good teams. All right, so let's watch this play. So break down this play, Ern.
So now we have, and this is, so you got Rob, and we thought, hey, he's a blocker and all that. Here we got him split out. He's playing wide receiver here.
Yeah.
Come here, run the receiver out.
And so speed releases again. That's a corner.
That's a corner, but Rob, I mean, so the corner's got a speed edge. Rob has a size and strength edge.
And right here, if you saw, because of the last 2 3rd down, Sorensen's trying to come down and rob it. or looks over. He's being attentive to it.
And this is why, now to get in, to take it to the next level, this is why for 20 years we always coach Tom every play. You have got to see both safeties. You have got to know what the safeties are doing. There is no way around that for a quarterback. So here he can see exactly what we've got going up on top. They're coming over. They'll look, because we've just beaten them on 2 plays coming from the strong side. So they're looking for that. Boom, go right behind them. But this is, again, we talked about, this is the quarterback, driving the Formula One race car. See it and throw it. It's not see it, process it, think about it, then it's too late.
And for offensive players and people that have to read coverage, you can never look at a corner and say and determine the coverage, because the corners can lie. They can cheat. They can press bail. They can trap. What you have to do is you have to watch the safeties. So Tom's sitting here seeing Sorensen deep high right. So he's trying to give him a split safety look. So there's two plays within the play when you're being a quarterback. There's a pre-snap and then there's the post-snap. The post-snap, if you see Sorensen, all he does is take a look at me. But Tom sees that. Tom recognizes that he's probably helping on the crosser that we hit him 2 times before on the 3rd and 10s. And so that's when he goes and flips his eyes like a NASCAR driver or a Formula One driver and slings it to Gronk. And, I mean, he's only 3 yards away from him.
Right. Well,
that's how fast it has to be, the processing.
Right. I mean, a couple steps, that's about all you get.
This is open in the National Football League.
Right.
That's how it goes.
New England's tried to play action earlier. I can't see it here. This has to be a run. 2nd and goal.
Mono, James Devlin, Rex Burkett, Cannon, Andrews, Shaq. I mean, whenever you want to see a play like that, a short yardage play, you always want to see the offensive line and the defensive line. Where is the line of scrimmage? Slow-mo it, go. Watch where the line of scrimmage is established. Pad level, stalemate, look at the hole.
And what you really want, because you've got the defensive guys, the offensive guys, and where that football is, I'm talking before the snap, the football is called the neutral zone.
Neutral zone.
Neither team can be in the neutral zone, but what you want as an offensive team, or as a defensive team for that matter, you want to be the ones that get your feet into the neutral zone. So this is we're talking like short distance, but the difference between getting your feet into the neutral zone or having the other team get their feet in is the difference between having a good play and getting stuffed.
Difference between going to the Super Bowl and not.
Right. There's one other part of this game that I want to remind you of.
Which one you got? Right.
Okay. Of course, we get on. We got gypped. We didn't get to have the trophy ceremony on the field. That would have been epic to have that ceremony in Arrowhead.
Why didn't we have it? I didn't realize.
We got gypped. Okay, that's my theory. Because if they'd won the game, they were going to have it out in the field.
Yeah.
Then we had that twice in Pittsburgh. That's great. You're sitting. There's maybe 500 of your fans. The stadium's empty. It's in their colors. Hey, we're going to the Super Bowl. The rest of you, see ya. But anyway, we go through that in the locker room. We have the great plane ride home, and then what happened? We get back to Gillette Stadium.
Oh,
it's
and
about
it's frozen.
At everybody's car, there's like an inch thick, solid ice. We're all out there trying to chip ice, and I'm going to tell you, if we lost, that would have really sucked. Okay. But so we're trying to. Nobody could get their car doors open.
Because what they did was they took all this. There was a huge snowstorm, so they took the snow off because the cars were warm and it got warmer. There was like a little layer of water that went over and it froze all the cars shut. So you're sitting there, everyone's all hyped after we're going to the Super Bowl. No one got out of the parking lot for 45 minutes.
It's 3:00 in the morning. We're trying to chip ice. Okay, and and I got my. I mean, I'm a New Englander. I got my snow removal stuff in the car. Well, I'll be able to just get my scraper out. No chance. We're all trying to use a key to use your car key to chip ice. If at 3 in the morning. Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Let's score this thing real quick.
All right. The name of the game. What do you like here, Ernie? There's the Super Blood Wolf Moon game.
They did. There was a full moon on the broadcast. There was a great shot. They made a reference. Yeah.
I think it was you want to keep that, or there was the Dynasty Lives On game, the D Ford game.
Super Blood Wolf Moon.
The Super Blood Wolf Moon game. Yeah. Okay.
Stakes.
Is this the greatest game of all time? Let's score it. Stakes 0 to 10. Decimals okay, Ernie.
It's the greatest AFC Championship we played in game.
Definitely. For me, it was.
Number?
What is your score?
This is a 1 to 10.
1 to 10. Decimals okay.
Yeah, I'll go 9.5 because we sucked off a couple short yardage plays.
9.5.
Jules had 9.5. Jack had 9.1. I had 8.1. Rob Riggle had 10. Star power.
The star power of this game. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, 2 Hall of Fame coaches,
Yeah.
2 dynasties.
2 dynasties. Yeah. This was
Eric Stone Street, probably.
this was our one. This was our chance to beat them when the great Chiefs. This was our chance. We beat them. Yeah, I probably have to give this one a 10.
A 10.
Agreed.
Jules has an 8.8. Jack has a 9.3. I have a 9.5. Rob Riggle has a 10.
The gameplay of this game. 3rd and 2. We had them bottled up, and then the dams broke.
I mean, when you're talking about, championship game going to overtime, big drives in the fourth quarter. Yeah, there was some stuff that wasn't perfect, but
I didn't touch the ball either.
You didn't touch it, right?
right. Hey, listen, you could, you know the thing that really would probably advantage us. The challenge, because we talked about challenges. Mm-hmm. The rule on challenges is that when the referee, the first thing they do, when there's a controversial play, the referee's going to come over, talk to the coach. Coach will tell him, I'm challenging the play because of this. Okay? Then the referee will go to the covering official. In other words, the official that made the call, he'll go to the covering official and say, tell me what you saw. So the referee knows, hey, my side judge made the call, and this is what he saw. And then, they'll talk. But when the video starts that the referee starts looking at, it's supposed to shut off after 60 seconds. They had that video out there on the field for a lot longer than 60 seconds. I don't know how long it was because there's a commercial and they're still looking at it. But to me, the whole thing is. The whole reason they had challenges, let's get it right. They got it right.
They got it right. Gameplay, 1 to 10, but they got it right on that play.
Yeah, I'm going 10.
10. Burn dog.
Way to execute, guys.
Jules had a 9. Jack had a 10. I had a 9.5. And Rob had a 10 as well.
The name of the game, the Super Blood Wolf Moon game. I think.
But also the legacy.
The legacy.
Talking about it, where it holds in your heart culturally, this game.
You say 2018 AFC Championship, everybody knows what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, hey, there's a full moon. I got it. If I hadn't watched the TV replay, I would not have remembered there was a full moon.
Yeah, you would have. You saw it on the weather report.
I probably did, but I don't remember. But I don't remember that.
So what do you score it?
I'm gonna give that an 8.
8.
I like that.
Jules had an 8.9, Jack had a 10, I had an 8.5, and Rob had a 9.3 for a updated score of 9.35. This game was currently the top. It still is the top.
Hey,
but it moves down 0.04 places.
Let's go. We're staying on top. Right where it belongs.
Amazing. Ernie, we miss anything about this game?
Well, we didn't do my 8-hour deep dive, so that we missed details. We got the importance.
That's part 3.
That's part
Okay.
3 potentially. You want to plug anything, Ern?
No, I'm good right now.
Andover?
Always.
Always.
You love your hat.
Andover. Well, thank you, Ernie. We always appreciate you. You know what? You give us so much knowledge. You give the listeners knowledge and how much preparation and hard work goes behind the scenes of what makes a dynasty go.
Well, it was, listen, all that situational football, it's all those hot days in August and going through that 2-minute drill. The reason you do it is so that when you really need it, you give yourself the best chance to have it pay off.
The best.
And all them weights.
That's why you lift all them weights. That's why you do all that situational football. That's why you have the walkthroughs for the walkthroughs for the walkthroughs.
That's it.
Thank you, Ernie. It's great.
Ernie, thank you.
My pleasure.
Thanks again.
Well, another great episode with Ernie.
It's always a pleasure. It's always an honor.
I just feel like I want to go draft some guys right now.
Same. I just want to crush some tape, read.
He's butt dialed me like 4 times since we had him on too.
Yeah.
And every time, like a part of me is like, maybe he's like scouting the show a little bit, and it's just a butt dial. Like,
Oh, he
maybe
definitely
next
is.
time.
He's definitely. This is the.
Got to
those
bring
are-
your A game.
You better cover your. He's got you. But yeah, I just want to go do some write-ups right now as we speak on some players.
He was walking us through that folder too after.
Yeah. Kept that thing pretty tight though.
Oh, so nerdy.
Put that thing.
Like my football nerd was just like, oh.
I wanted to get it and show it to the people, but like I didn't know if like there was a booby trap and they would electrocute me if I opened it.
Like the old like elementary library school where teacher where it's like, you know.
Yeah.
The group reading.
Yeah.
Us just sitting crisscross applesauce, learning from the master. Oh my gosh. Put that thing in the Smithsonian, the Library of Congress. There was gold in that folder.
There's one thing I was disappointed on is that the Seahawks folder wasn't lime green.
Yeah, I wonder if
He
that's
said blue though, right?
He said blue.
He said blue.
Which they have a lot of navy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if
If you
that's
went
an
color
odd
rush for the folder would have been cool.
color rush folder. I think that's something we got to take up with Staples or an Office Max. I wonder if they're making enough of those.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there was only like 5 or 6 ones.
Yeah, they
A lot of black folders
Black,
or white Manila. Yeah,
I think we can get close enough.
he loves it, man.
No.
It's pretty cool. He wanted to come back on the show.
There's
did a lot of prep.
standing invitation.
We had a couple of pre-production meetings ahead of time to prep and really craft it. And like he was really involved. It's fun. It's always an honor. And I mean this genuinely as a football fan and particularly as a Patriots fan. It's always an honor just to be in the presence of Ernie and then get to talk football with him. It's incredible.
And because of Ernie coming on the show, like now all these football heads, like when I see them at like we did Brady Day, do this, do that. All the other guys are like, because Ernie went on the show, like they're like, hey man, can I get on the show?
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, some pretty high up people.
Seriously, and you can tell who a real football head is by how much they respect an Ernie episode. Big Cat Colton was talking about it.
Yeah.
All the guys. I mean, it's something, and I wouldn't have it any other way. When we first sort of were talking with Kyler or with Ernie, as Kyler mentioned in some pre-pro calls, and we introduced the idea of breaking down some specific plays. Ernie came back to us with, I think it was about 55 different plays, and we run a pretty 90 to 2 hour time constrained show here, and so I wouldn't have it any other way though. That's how I wanted him coming back, and then we whittled it down, and Ernie picked a solid 5, I think.
And copyright issues were tough too because he's thinking like he wants Cowboy Clicker where we could just sit here and rewind and show the viewer that, like, yeah, we're not there yet. Ernie.
We're not there yet, but soon enough when it's Games with Names, Ernie edition, that's when we'll have it. And we had some good fabric talk, summer fabrics, Madras. Ernie had his Madras on, was killing it.
Always.
I didn't get to ask him during the pod how he felt about seersucker. Fast forward the next night, we're walking into the Brady event. We're in the tunnel. I look over, Ernie, full seersucker suit, dapped him up. I knew it. He answered
What did
it
he
for
say
me.
to you, Jack?
He said, "Long time no see." I was like, "That's right, baby." Just awesome. What a guy.
He wore that because it was a little humid that night.
Yep.
People were sweating. He knew about the heat.
Yep.
And what did he do?
He went.
He did a little research of what it was going to be. What's the best probably
fabric.
And seersucker is great for the heat.
Seersucker, nice and light, stylish, classic.
We didn't see him down on the table. He might have been up in the Ernie box.
I think I showed everyone the Ernie box.
We got some pictures. We'll have to put them up. Legendary, man. What an all-time time. And it's just, I always feel so fortunate anytime we get to spend some time with Ernie. That was so cool.
Always.
Learned so much. Peel back the curtain on so many plays and so many everything. It's just awesome.
Just feel like a sponge when you're around him.
Seriously.
I try to feel like a sponge.
SpongeBob, baby.
SpongeBob SquarePants. We're going to try a new post-show segment today where since we were talking about 2018 AFC Championship, we thought it'd be pretty cool to redraft the top 10 picks of the 2018 draft.
Now that we learned some stuff from Ernie and player evaluation.
That's right, in honor of Ernie and player evaluations. This was a fun draft, too. A lot of notable names and pretty darn cool here. So before we redraft and go through, we kind of pulled a selection of the most notable guys that were drafted in this draft, guys that went on to be Pro Bowlers, guys that are still having awesome careers. Put those into a pile. We got our blank top 10 over here on the right. And then we also are going to revisit really quickly who was the actual top 10, who went where. So
Why
would be.
Why don't you give us the top 10?
I'll run through it
real
speed
quick.
mode,
Yeah, and
NASCAR.
teams too. Yeah.
NASCAR offense here.
For our audio listeners.
Cleveland drafted Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma, of course. Saquon Barkley went to the Giants out of Penn State. Sam Darnold, USC quarterback, went to the Jets. Denzel Ward, the cornerback out of Ohio State, went to Cleveland as well. Bradley Chubb, the defensive end out of NC State, went to the Broncos. Quentin Nelson was taken at number 6 out of Notre Dame, the offensive guard. At 7, Josh Allen went to the Bills, quarterback out of Wyoming, we all know. Roquan Smith went 8 to the Bears, the outside linebacker out of Georgia. Another Notre Dame offensive lineman, tackle Mike McGlinchey, went at number 9 to San Francisco. And then to round out the top 10, the Arizona Cardinals took UCLA quarterback Josh Rosen.
Wow.
Chosen Rosen, baby. That was the actual top 10.
And some other big names, too, that weren't in the top 10. Lamar Jackson, Shaq Leonard, Shoney Michel, Nick Chubb,
Fred Warner, third rounder.
Mark Andrews, Tremaine Edmonds,
Mark Andrews.
Minka Fitzpatrick, Derwin Jones, Vita Vea.
A lot of guys.
Well, let's start at 10 here.
And go in reverse order.
Yeah,
Okay.
and go in reverse order.
These are tough.
These are tough.
Number 10.
Maybe we go 1 first. We can go backwards here.
Okay.
We can go 1 first because that might be easier.
Okay.
Yeah. So feels like 1. There's a couple quarterbacks here and a couple linemen here.
There ain't no lineman, Kay. You got either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Which one's going to one?
That's the biggest decision, I feel like, here.
All right, there ain't no other. This is a quarterback league. Those
Fair.
two quarterbacks have been balling out, but they've yet to win a Super Bowl.
Fair.
2 MVPs for Lamar, though.
How many playoff wins?
Play style, Josh Allen probably might have a longer career just in terms of rushing the ball, exposure to being tackled. But Lamar Jackson's higher.
Kyler Adams. We get it, dude. Kyler
Lamar's only got
Adams.
1 playoff win as of now, right? He's
Huh?
1 in 3, I believe.
Who?
Lamar.
And how many does Josh have? Probably got he went to an AFC Championship a couple times.
He's got 5 so far.
5. Got to go Josh Allen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh Allen 1, Lamar Jackson 2.
So Josh Allen to the to the Browns.
Browns. Ooh.
Lamar Jackson to the Giants. That's fun.
That's fun.
That would have been fun. Number 3 for the Jets. They needed a quarterback. They took Sam Darnold.
Gave up a lot to get him to. Oh, no, the Panthers gave up a lot. Trading for him after that.
We got here. Quentin Nelson, great guard. Been killing it for the Colts.
Yeah, but
Fred Warner, Mark Andrews.
you're not going to go. Quentin Nelson. What's up with these Notre Dame guys? Notre Dame just got some
Offensive line you over here.
just
Taking over for Florida State.
smart big men that could move. Put that in a category.
Yep.
Put that in
DJ Moore, we got to add him to our list. DJ Moore's also from this draft.
Where is he?
He went 24 to the Panthers. I've got to add him to our list.
For the Jets, let's make it interesting because if we're not going to get a quarterback, you're going to probably have to get another quarterback later round. What do you want to do for the quarterback? Let's give him a good run game. Let's go. I'm probably going Chubb.
Nick Chubb.
I like that.
Okay.
I think it could be Saquon, but if like we know the injury history.
Yep.
Now Chubb did just miss a year, but he had 4 years where he was pretty healthy.
Balling. We gotta add Calvin.
Now out of the
added Calvin Ridley to our list too. I forgot to read him earlier.
Then who's 4? Browns again.
Roquan Smith's in there. Fred Warner's in there.
I mean, I would go with the cornerback too.
Got some guards.
See, dude, Ward has been an unbelievable player. He's a.
You keep Ward.
I'm keeping Ward.
I like that.
You got to feed the offense, feed the defense. Number 5, I might have to. Chubb's been good. I mean, you got Vita Vea in there.
Beast.
He was a nasty. He just no more run game. What does that division like to do?
Baker's still on the board too.
Baker. I mean, he went to the playoffs, had a resurgence this last year, but who's the quarterback?
Broncos.
This is 2018. Do they need a quarterback? Who was their quarterback that year?
Case Keenum. Not exactly.
They clearly wanted someone on the D line.
Mm-hmm.
See, we didn't do our homework on team needs of this.
Well, I think we can do team need. We can do
Best player.
best player. Might be easier.
Well, I mean,
Mark Andrews is right there.
He's awesome.
Also, Quentin Nelson is a great guard and a difference maker in the interior line. It's not sexy. It's not fun.
let's go with we got to go with the guard. Quentin Nelson. 6. I mean, Fred Warner is pretty insane.
Dude, linchpin of that San Fran defense. I feel like he's got to make it in the top 10 here somewhere.
I mean, he's like the quarterback of that defense. The defense been pretty elite. I'm putting him in there.
Fred Warner to the Colts.
Fred Warner.
Ooh, I like that.
I mean, Mark Andrews probably 7 because, I mean, he's still with the way the league is, and he could still block a 9 technique. He's still a great blocker, and he's electric in the pass game. He's faster than what you think. He's stronger than what you think because you already think he's strong, but he's stronger than that. I've been a fan of him.
So Mark Andrews to the Bills.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Now
I like
Bears
that.
at 8. They went Roquan Smith.
I would say
Who?
they end up with him now, but I mean, a DJ Moore is. He was later in the first round. Went to Carolina at 24.
Let's throw DJ Moore in there.
I like that.
Get a little receiver love.
They got him after all, but drafting him straight up would have saved him from trading.
Barkley's still on the board. Baker Mayfield's still on the board. Jermaine James, Minka Fitzpatrick, Vita Vea.
And then I'd probably go Bake as 9. Because Bake had a playoff win in Cleveland, bro. That's hard to do.
Ooh, him on the 49ers.
Ooh.
Shanahan
with Baker.
Talk about Baker cooking. I like that.
And then number 10, I mean, this is a pro running back podcast.
It is.
We got to go put Bark there. I mean, when he first came out, like this is just on the careers they had, but he was one of the most dynamic people. Like he's had better production in his career, but we all think of Chubb just a guy that runs downhill. Like Saquon, you could throw him out the backfield. He's got a lot of versatility, and if he wasn't hurt, we're saying everyone's not hurt. Like he was a generational player.
What do you think he's going to be like on the Eagles this year?
I think it could be really good for him
I think so too.
because he's not just the main focus there. They have great weapons on the outside with Smith and who's my AJ Brown.
AJ Brown, big guy.
And then their tight end is really good.
Goddard.
They got a lot of guys. Will they have the offensive line dialed with Kelsey retiring?
I know.
A lot of people think, we get Kelsey was running that ship.
was fun. We got some deep draft talk.
Let us know what you guys think.
Josh Allen 1, Lamar Jackson 2, Nick Chubb 3, Denzel Ward 4, Quentin Nelson 5, Fred Warner 6, Mark Andrews 7, DJ Moore 8, Baker Mayfield 9, and Saquon Barkley 10. I'm sure we missed a few.
We
Tell
missed
us
a
why
lot.
We're wrong.
We missed a lot.
Well, it's hard being Ernie Adams.
But every year in those rooms, those war rooms, they miss a lot too.
Very true.
You just got to look
unfortunately.
these guys in the eyes and you'll know if they're ones.
That's what I told Ernie. Did I tell Ernie that?
Yeah.
Say Ernie. So let me look these guys in the eyes. You can tell.
We need
That was
that.
fun.
Well, what a game.
That'll make a great graphic on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and guys are going to kill us. Like, what is this?
Be sick.
What an idiot.
Oh, we should do.
Mel Kiper in the comment section. What are you doing? What?
If we were smart, like part of my take, we'd like put a stupid one in there and be like, listen to the show and you know why I'd be dumb then. Those guys are too smart. I'm too,
Hey,
too smart
we're
for
smarter than them. All of ours were stupid ones.
them. Yeah.
We had 10 ones. I'm just kidding. We got some right.
I mean, you get Josh Allen or
That's a coin flip.
Lamar.
What do I
You're
look
happy. One or two, you're happy either way.
Yeah.
What do I look like? Scott Pioli over here? Come on now.
Never. Oh, too smart for this. All right.
Well, what a game. Thanks again to Ernie. That's been another episode. Thank you, Ernie. We appreciate you coming
Thanks.
on.
Seriously.
Martruce.
So gracious with your time.
Madras.
Madras.
Which we planned ahead of time on our call.
Yeah.
I could wear my sweater. There's a lot of play in my red sweater that I wore in the draft. Maybe I could wear some Madras. Maybe I could this. He's like, whatever you want to wear. And he's like, I'll wear the Madras. And he brought it.
He brought the heat, as always.
And he wore it well.
And that's been another episode of Games with Names. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Comment a game you want us to do. And remember
Rate and review.
to follow Games with Names on YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Snapchat. Leave a message on the hotline bling at 424-291-2290. We'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Games with Names is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.